Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Yep.
Sorry about being a few minutes late. Screen's gone black. There you go. Hello, everybody. It is the 20th of July, 2017. And welcome everybody in the chat room, all the wrenches, and to the panel. From America, we have Chris from Canada. We have Gary, the UK conference maker from the UK. We have Ceres from Holland. I've just left my feed going. Naughty me. And then we have Patricia from the UK. We have Judith from Israel. And we have me. And then we have Nathan Oakley coming on. And Liedtke coming on. So it's a star-studded night, guys. I just want to tell everybody it's Ceres' birthday, if people didn't catch that last night. Happy birthday, Ceres, again.
Happy birthday, Ceres.
Never had so many birthday wishes ever in my life, actually.
Trisha, but having internet problems at the moment. But yes. So what have you done today, Ceres?
I woke up and from the start I actually had visitors and was doing actually nothing and waking up and talking and just having a good time here.
Yeah, and what? So what present did you get today that you were telling me about?
Oh, just a nostalgic game, Worms. Yeah, that's a particular game, but was actually in the beginning. You have two persons playing one side, and you have to hit the other.
Is that a computer game series or a board game?
Very old computer game. I'm not sure. There is another. It's a particular type of game, and Worms is that particular game, but then completely drawn in with worms. All the sounds, etc. It's just another aspect of that whole game. Same as what was it? The old 3D first versions. Was it Doom? No, Doom. People know Doom, for example. The first versions, etc.
Quite apt getting you a computer game, hey?
Yeah, I wasn't really a gamer. I was always into the programming stuff and graphics, and that's what I actually mainly like, graphics and computer. I actually draw graphics with code in this game. That's why I'm also able to put this map together as a huge data collection, and out of that.
Yes, because Ceres is a computer programmer. And so that's why he's able to do what he's doing, because most of us can't do these things.
No, yeah, I figure out how to hack a Google application from the outside without actually using whatever hack. It's just by using the open doors who are there open. You know, just.
Poor Patricia keeps going off and coming on.
Yeah.
Again, happy birthday. Did anybody get you a cake, Ceres?
No. Tompoes, a lot of stuff and such.
I got you a cake, Ceres, but I ate it. It looked too nice.
Yeah, normally I'm the one giving cakes. The crocheted one.
Chris looks quite handsome there with a hat on as well. That's a nice hat there, Chris.
Yeah, different hat today. Yeah.
Is it hot with you?
It's hot and sunny, yeah. So the hat keeps the sun off the ears. Yeah.
And did you like that? Obviously, I sent you Did you like the new sub on the channel?
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It is. I'm really happy. I don't know whether to mention his name or not.
Sure, why not? Yeah, you can.
Yeah, well, I'm really happy to say that I don't know how many people will know who this person is. His name's John Hutchinson. Well, he subbed to our channel today and he's supporting us. So that just shows you how well Series and Chris, what they've done. Congratulations, guys.
Well, that's pretty good. I was pretty stoked when John subbed. And another crazy Canuck, eh?
Yeah. Especially the crazy ones, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've asked Gary on today because Gary's going to do a little bit about the conference again today. And also we're waiting for Nathan and Martin to come on because they're going to talk about where are we going on Saturday, Gary? Gary, where are you?
He's muted.
Gary, you're
Hello,
muted.
are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
I was reorganising my little area that I'm actually getting better Wi-Fi. So sorry about that. I was just hoped that you wouldn't be coming on to me at that moment.
Yeah.
So can you hear me okay?
I can. I was saying, where are we going on Saturday?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
We are going to Lymington Spa to see MartinLiedtke, Nathan Oakley, and Patricia Steer, and among others, Sun and Moon, and other people, I guess.
And it's a flat earth picnic.
And we have Flat Earth Dave in the chat who said he'll be attending. So shout out to Flat Earth Dave.
That's
I didn't
cool.
mean to interrupt. Yep, he just said it in the chat. I'll be there Saturday. So
Brilliant.
The more the merry.
And is there any conference news, Gary?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no. What you got to bear in mind, I'm still organising myself. It's a work in progress here, making myself comfortable. It's a little. I don't know if it's news, but the web developers are slow coming forward. They've had some delays getting some decent progress, but I'm really pushing to try and get this released by the end of the beginning of next week, because I think it needs to be out there definitely in the month of July. The one thing I will say to you is I may have some exclusive news to release to people on Saturday. I don't want to say anything until then, but it's pretty big if it comes off.
nice.
Saturday?
Yeah. Well, what I'll do is, so it's been filmed, and I don't know if it's been filmed, but with the likes of Nathan there and Patricia and yourself, Karen, then
I'll film it.
I think if it comes off, then it could be wow news, I would call it.
Oh, I don't know what to say because I don't know what it is.
There are a few people. There's about 7 people in the world that know about it, and 5 of them have said yes. But I'm working on something that is gonna.
A band?
A band? No, it's actually nothing to do with the UK conference. It's something. It's kind of related, but it isn't. If you know what I mean.
Mm. Well, you know what you're talking about, and we don't.
The reason why I need to just hold fire is that there's just certain things I need to check, and if it can happen, then I think it's going to be a natural progression from where we are now.
What, you mean for the conference or for Flat Earth in general?
It's difficult, Karen, because I can't really say too much, because I don't want to get to a point that all of a sudden somebody says, "Oh, is it this?" So I'm going to have to be cryptic, I'm afraid. I'm sorry to everyone.
Meanie.
I know. Well, what I'll do is I could tell you on the way up on Saturday, but I also feel that the shock value, even from you, would be quite tremendous, I think. And one thing I am enjoying is when I come up with little nuggets like this, I actually think it's quite good for people because, like I said on the Hangout, the interview yesterday with Nathan, I do not want people like you or Dee or a few other people to actually know everything and then not have some shocks yourself. And I am quite keen, and it's probably just me being silly, but I just think it's something that I want to do where people can get some value in addition to the actual what's happening on the actual show. I just think it's something to continually even make your jaw drop and other people that are helping that event on.
Can't wait now. I can't wait to find out what it is.
I'm going to be working hard on it if I get what I want. Unfortunately, the real information is going to be in about a week's time, but I think I will know enough on Saturday. But it's going to make people think. Without trying to give too much away, I think people are going to be surprised that I'm looking at this. So it's just to add intrigue. So
it does. I want to know what it is now. Tell me now. Tell everybody.
Are people, because I've asked Dia this question about the UK conference. I just said to him, "Do you like secrets?" And he said, "Yes. Don't tell me. I like secrets." He wants to wait. So certain people probably want to know immediately, and other people are like me happy to wait because I've been have the anticipation of it.
Yes, we gathered that now.
Yeah, sorry everyone.
You like teasing, Gary. Anyway, we'll find out on Saturday.
So the unveiling in 48 hours.
Does that mean I'm going to be filming it and drop the camera?
Yes.
Oh!
What I do actually, I'm going to have to say to people, I don't know if I should say give me one guess because if people do guess it, then it'll ruin it. So it's almost like I will maybe get people to write it down on a piece of paper what they think it is and then see who's the most accurate.
Well, it's not a band.
No, it's not. Actually, the only thing I will say to you, it's not a band and it's nothing to do with Donald Trump. Has that narrowed it down for you?
Yeah.
Not really, Gary.
Well, I've just taken out two big things, a band and Donald Trump. I mean, there's not much left.
Does anybody else have any ideas then?
Go on, everyone on the panel, have a guess.
Go on, Billy. What do you reckon?
He probably found a map to the actual Earth, something like that. Maybe, who knows?
No, there's 7 people or something. There's people.
Yeah, there's people who know about it. I've discussed it with people.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've discussed.
Oh, okay.
I've discussed it with 7 people, and 6 people, and 5 of them have said, "Yep, sounds good to me," and the other person's going to help me.
Oh, so is it a surprise guest? Maybe.
Could be.
There you go. We have a surprise guest, maybe.
Or maybe
on Saturday. Or maybe not.
Gary, you're a real meanie.
The thing is, though, everyone in the flat Earth just the conventional path of either calling everyone shills or trolls or hate each other, or they just do the normal thing. And I'm just trying to be a little bit different, and I'm not saying different is better. I'm just saying it's different. Maybe somebody in the chat may guess. Maybe I don't want them to guess.
You haven't really given many clues, have you?
I have. It's not Donald Trump, and it's not a band. I did ask Donald.
Chris?
He said he was busy.
Chris, you got any ideas?
No clue. No.
No.
I'll enjoy the suspense though until Saturday.
But don't you think, Chris, it's actually nicer to, if we just came out of it, then, like, for instance, if I say to you, I've got some information for you, but I can't tell you until 10 o'clock. Well, not 10, because it's 3 minutes away, but 11 o'clock. Well, can't you tell me now? No, can't tell you now. You have to wait. It's 63 minutes from now, I will tell you. It has more value than if I just told you outright, because you just think, oh, okay, oh, great, oh, well, that's different. So it's hopefully going to add value.
Well,
Well,
yeah, all good things are good, worth waiting for. That's for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it will not affect a lot of people, but it's something to do with moving on the flat Earth movement.
so
excellent.
it's somebody maybe a bit more. Well, obviously, it's not a singer, so it's obviously somebody a bit more higher. You know, is it like a politician, or it's got to be someone a bit famous, because otherwise you wouldn't.
I'm not mentioning Brian Cox.
Could you imagine that?
That's pretty good. I like that.
So now all of a sudden, you've wormed out of me that it's not Brian Cox, it's not Donald Trump, and it's not a band. I mean, there's not much left. Come on, guys.
Oh, it's
Well,
David Icke or someone from the BBC is going to show up and do an interview.
Excluding the Pope. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I must admit, the Pope was asked, and he's actually washing his hair that day. And I said, well, that's funny, because I actually invited you for a particular day, so how can you be doing your hair? And apparently, I think he uses Head and Shoulders. And I thought, surely you can't advertise because you're the Pope. And he said he gets £17 a year for Head and Shoulders, so he's going to plug it. What could I do? I couldn't stop him. I expect a Colgate Palmolive now to give me a bucket load of Head and Shoulders because I just plugged it. I also like Hobnobs. I like Snickers. I like. I'll just go through a whole list of what I like, and hopefully somebody. Oh, Rolls Royces, Ferraris. Do you like my style? So basically, I've told you nothing, have I?
No, you've told us nothing. We will get into things a bit later on, because I bet you Chris has got some more pictures to show us, or diagrams or simulations, and I bet you Series has as well. But we're just waiting for Nathan to come on so that we can talk about Saturday for the UK people. It's happening in... Gary, what park is it again?
Isn't it Jephson Park? Does that sound about right? Jephson, is that correct?
I'm not looking now. I remember, but I don't remember.
It's in the
I remember
centre.
I wait to say it. Yeah, but anyway, Nathan will be on to talk about it a bit more. But it's just good, isn't it? Like, happen.
Definitely,
Chris,
and that's what we need in progress.
Chris, if you had a flat Earth picnic near you, would you go? You're muted.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, if there was enough people around, and I'd go check it out. Yeah.
Do you know many flat earthers around you, or is you feel a bit like you're on your own where you are?
Oh, I think there might be. I think I've seen maybe one or two in this area within 1,000 miles. I don't know. Not very many here.
You know, there's probably a lot of quiet ones. There is quiet ones. What about you, Billy? Would you go to a flat earth picnic near you?
Probably. And they would go, hey, there's that square looping guy again. We don't want him here.
Let it go, Billy.
If you're not going to eat pizza, get away from me. No, I don't know. I said that as a joke. Probably I would go. As long as I kept my wife would probably say, just make sure you keep your mouth shut and just get along.
Yeah, it would be good though, wouldn't it? And I think it'd be good if you did go to a picnic and you opened your mouth.
Yeah, that could get me in trouble as usual. Yeah.
Well, you know. I know that everything. I think Chris is the same. Series, all of us on here, we come from our hearts. And I bet you, Judith, would love a picnic near her because she feels very alone, don't you, Judith? Judith, are you there? Flat Earth call Judith.
Oh, yeah. I'm here.
Yeah, we can hear you, Judith. Would you like a Flat Earth picnic near you?
Very much.
Okay, thanks, Judith.
Yes, I would like.
I don't know what she was doing there. It sounded like she was wrestling. Wrestling with something. Well, I think it's all really good stuff because these things wouldn't have been happening last year, would they? So it's really good that they're happening this year and on, and many more to come. And it's quite exciting, really, isn't it? That on the bill there is an American conference coming up in November and a UK one coming up in April next year. Gary, there's a meet in Cornwall as well, isn't there? Or has that already happened now?
I'm not too sure if it's taking place, but I know it's a Fookers event, isn't it? I think, I don't know if Martin would know, but I know Dave Murphy is meant to be going there. Actually, Dave.
Oh.
And so is Dee on the chat? Because he would know.
No, Dee's with Frankie.
Yeah, I am aware that they're having a nice time together, so that's nice. That's good for them. Yes, I'm not too sure.
I think it was last weekend, the Fookers one, because I remember Dave saying something about going to something and he couldn't come on, and then he came on the Tuesday instead. So I think it was last weekend. So whoops, that one's happened.
What I'll do is
there anyone in the chat room who went? Anyone in the chat room who went to the Cornwall meet then? Leave that one out. And say we're just waiting for our guests to come on. Come on, guests. Well, Chris, have you got any diagrams you can start showing us while we're waiting? I haven't been doing things because you posted in Sun and Moon today.
Oh yeah, I keep tweaking and tweaking here, so I can do a screen share. Screen share. I'm a bit tired, so if I start slurring my words and sound like I've been drinking, it's because I've been awake for 24 hours pretty much. So
have you?
I will screen share though.
That's a lot of work.
That's what Series does. Series only has a few hours sleep, like in 48 hours, don't Series?
Yeah, normally. Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to present you. That's it. Oh, Series beat me. Birthday boy can do it.
All right. So I'll leave all the toroids and those kinds of. I'll just show you one here, and then I'll turn it back off. There's the main sun torus is where the sun travels in its path in Annaleba. And it might not interfere with the shot here too much. What I got here today is I'll show you how I set up the shot. Okay, so we have the camera right there in yellow, and then in the wireframe shot we got the moon is in frame, and we're down on the flat map. So what I did in this particular shot was I got up this morning and went outside, looked up at the sky around 6 o'clock in the morning, and I saw the moon crescent, Easter crescent moon, and Venus was in the shot too. And I did do an update, but this one isn't updated here yet. But I have one where Venus is, you can see Venus to the upper left of the moon here. But
hey, we've got Martin with us. Just say hello to Martin. Martin, hello.
Hey, sweetness. How are we, people?
Hi, Martin. Hi,
Hey,
Nathan.
Martin.
Woo.
Hello. That sounded like who was that said hello to me?
Hey,
Me, probably. Me, Nathan, Karen.
Nathan's
I'll
Gary.
come back for a second. Chris, is it possible for you to just hold on a minute then? Really sorry.
oh yeah,
That was Judith being noisy. I'll just come back. Chris was just going to explain something to us, but I don't know how long you're staying, so maybe it's best just to...
I was seeing a bit of this last night. I think it's really cool. Really cool. The bit you did show of this model.
Well, here I am. Hi, guys.
Hey, Karen. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hey, Martin.
Well, do
How
you
you doing,
want to
buddy?
say a little bit about what Chris is saying then, and then we'll talk in a minute?
Yeah, fine.
Yes.
Hey, Nathan. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. Very pleased to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good. No problem.
We've spoken
Cool.
before, have we, Billy?
No, we've only chatted in chat boxes, but
Yeah, good to be here.
yeah.
Chris, is it all right for you to carry on? Yeah, carry on then, my darling.
All right. Yep. So, as I showed you there just a minute ago, was that the camera set up and the moon's in the shot, and then the where everything is inside reel, I'll rotate the sun on the y-axis, and then you can just kind of get an idea. You'll see the sunrise. This is just simulating a morning sunrise with refraction. So I got the atmospherics in it now. So you get that nice glow of the sun and the crescent moon. And this one I got set up, you'll see a partial eclipse here. The shadow of the moon will start to appear. And it's just about to a partial eclipse right about there. I was trying to set up, I was going to take the camera and put it down in North Carolina and set the sun and moon angle to try and simulate the eclipse that's coming up in August the 21st. For a friend of mine, he's an amateur astronomer, so he wanted to try and help plan his angles and shots and times and whatnot. So that's where I'm headed with this one eventually. So basically you can see that high noon you get the eclipse, and then we keep rolling around, and then you'll get all the phases of the moon will start to show up. Then I can go down underneath. Then you'll see night start to fall. So it'll cast the shadow properly. And we should be able to see, I think, there we go. One of the struggles I was having with every other model I've ever tried to do, including, simulating a globe one, is how to do a lunar eclipse and get that blood moon. So blood moons and lunar eclipses are really tricky. And as well as we know is to cast a shadow on the top of the globe during a solar eclipse is impossible in a global type solar system model. So, and I was quite elated when this one, just by sheer luck, the way I had it set up, it just poof, there it was. As soon as I adjusted the atmospherics and the sizes of the atmosphere to match the magnetic fields to scale, all of a sudden the blood moon showed up and the lunar eclipses worked. So just to let people know, it's a model that's generating all these images. It's not, not Photoshop. It's not an animation. I didn't program anything in it other than just put the right size bodies and the atmospherics and the distances in, and just rotate the sun around in the toroidal field. So far so good. That's about where I'm at with it right now. So.
Video yesterday. I've actually recorded it, and I was going to show it to you, Chris, where basically as the sun comes out, the moon gets fainter and in the end fades, and it's to do with the sun. But I want to show it to you because somebody's put this video together. Is that about right, really, that it just in the end fades? Or in the pictures, the moon just fades out. It just disappears. Obviously, doesn't disappear the moment the sun comes up, but as the sun starts to come up and the moon starts moving, the moon just disappears.
Yeah, that's what happens in the model as well, right? It's the density of the air and the refraction, so it just fades to blue because the white overtakes it when you start to see the yellow and white in the atmospherics, because it's what happens is the sun is anisotrophic, so its light comes from one direction towards us as our center of perspective, and then when it hits the round particles in the air, molecules of water and hydrogen and the gases, and it just spreads. And when it does that, then the moon will just disappear, which is what happened this morning. So that's what I was trying to emulate this morning. And I had Venus by eye. I could see Venus this morning in a full crescent. So I was like, okay, so Venus has to be a lot closer than we think it is, because if the naked eye can actually tell that it's in a crescent like the moon, you know, without a telescope or a camera, I could clearly see that it was basically a half crescent Venus. So that's what I was trying to simulate this morning. So I was going back in to adjust the distances, because what I had was Venus way out by the sun, and I couldn't see it. I even took the telescope in the model and cranked it right up to 3000 zoom, and still couldn't see it. So what I ended up doing, you know, I can maybe bring up the model after a little bit, but what I ended up doing was bringing in the moon, or bringing Venus in to be within 1,000 kilometers behind the moon and up to in a different toroid. So it's pretty close as far as I can tell.
It's probably finding out what the actual parameters are, or how the settings are, but the principle is clear.
Yeah, as soon as you take the moon's magnetic field, which is relative to the Earth. So each toroid just is nested into it, and they have to kind of touch. So I found that if you touch the toroids and make them just keep scaling them up by it's basically a harmonic. So it's like a musical note. So you just keep scaling them up by note and harmonic. The next harmonic would be for Venus, and it just sets. Then you just take the body, like the moon or the Venus, and put it right in the donut part of the toroid. And then they wax and wane within that magnetic field. They just oscillate back and forth, but they have to be in that circle, and that just sets the distance. So the next one just finds its own natural state in that vibration harmonic resonance where things tend to collect. So they got to be collecting basically by what their constituents are in particle physics. So in the moon, when I set it to get it to reflect properly, it's actually a 33% density in particles. So it's not entirely solid, and which kind of makes sense, because I never looked at the reports, but I heard the rumor that there was at one time NASA or somebody fired a rocket at it and it rang like a bell for 8 hours. So once they hit it, it just rang and rang and rang. It vibrated for quite a long time, which would make sense if it's a semi-solid metallic liquid state, right? Superconductive metallic substance, then it would vibrate. So now,
what does? Sorry, carry on, Nathan.
Just going to say, do you really buy that though? I mean, NASA firing something at the moon and it ringing like
no, I don't buy the story. No, I don't buy they actually hit it, but it would make just logical sense, because that's what I had. I ended up having to do that in the model, so I'm not sure if I can't back up their story, but I found it an interesting coincidence that to make the shadows work and the way the crescent on the moon appears and the semi-luminescence, because you get that nice silvery moon, and then you'll see a white or a bluish edge on the crescent. And in order to make that work, you have to make it a semi-solid. Otherwise, it ruins the whole shot. So. Yeah.
Semi-solid means we wouldn't be able to land on it. What is semi-solid? Something that's
hollow,
mud-like.
Hollow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it would be like a big ball of dust, right? A big, relatively dense ball of dust, but not be like quicksand, right? It'd be like stepping into a pile of dust. Yeah.
So landing would have been very dusty then, I'd say.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Well, we know that's not true anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we come back to that? Because I don't know how long Nathan's going to stay with us. But Nathan, you've come on today to talk about what's happening on Saturday.
Yeah, well, Martin too. I mean, it's myself, Martin, and Patricia that have organised this together.
Martin.
But Patricia's winging away to Amsterdam as we speak, and then she's going to hop on another flight to Birmingham, and I'll pick her up at about 8:30 tomorrow morning. take her to a hotel, and then Saturday we'll all meet up at about midday. I don't know whether or not there'll be a whole crowd of people there waiting at midday, or if it'll just be me. I have no idea, but I think by about there'll be a whole bunch of people there, going by the amount of people.
Well, I counted 30 this week. This week in the last 6 days, I counted them up this morning. 30 people have contacted me saying they're going. That's just me. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. I thought there was quite a few, and I counted them up. I was just curious. I thought, how many is that? This is every day, 4 or 5. So I counted them up. It's 30 in the last week. So there's going to be a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, for the event that you went to, Karen, it was a paid event. Obviously, we had to pay to get into the Space Centre, and there were still 10 people that turned up. It was miserable weather. It wasn't a nice, it wasn't a jolly event. It was going to the Space Centre, to look at fakery. But we still got 10 people. When we did the Oxford meet, we got 30, I think it was 30 plus people that went, maybe a few more that didn't actually announce themselves as being there. They were sat on the fringes. I expect that to happen as well. That'll be the bit that I'll be looking for. Should I say this?
Yeah, you're going to get that.
There that won't necessarily join us, that will be on the periphery. They'll know why they're there, and they'll have come specifically, but they won't necessarily join in, and you'll notice them if you go. You'll see them sat on the periphery looking in. It'll be interesting.
I have to say, Nathan, you look very excited.
I am. Very.
Don't mind.
Martin, are you excited?
I'm actually like going to levitate any second, guys. If I get this vibration any higher.
It's most similar to the Oxford meet, and in my humble opinion, obviously it's my town, the location is much, much better. There's not going to be a huge amount of walking if you come on the train or if you park or whatever. It's a very small town, unlike Oxford, where we ended up walking for about 20 minutes. And don't get me wrong, I loved Oxford. It's a lovely town to walk through, useful for making video logs while I was walking. But by the same token, it wasn't ideal. It was nice to see Oxford, but there was a lot of walking involved, and when we got to the actual spot that we had the picnic, it wasn't the best spot. It was by the river. By comparison, Lymington's absolutely beautiful. I don't want to build it up too much, but it's a very, very nice place to be. And Anthony Riley was saying, well, what happens if it rains? Because he's coming down with his wife and their dogs. I said, well, it's ideal because it's where the river is. The opposite side of the road to the park is a pub that's on the river, and it's got a canopy, and you could probably 100 people on the river, technically outside, even if it was pouring with rain. I think that pub's called the Robin's Well. So should you arrive and it's raining, the chances are we will be in the Robin's Well under that canopy overlooking the river, doing exactly the same thing, but just not in the sunshine in the park. So in other words, there's options. So yeah, I am excited. It's going to be good.
Because Patricia's coming over as well, because she's a friend of yours, isn't she?
Yeah. So, I've got a friend. I'm sure Martin would too.
Yeah, we're close friends. We're a group of friends, so we're all quite close, and it's a joy when we all meet up. So I can't wait. It's really exciting.
Can I just say hallelujah, the community happening. Hallelujah.
It's interesting you say that, Karen, because Anthony Riley's partner was explaining to her that he was going to come down to Leamington for the meet, and she's like, oh right, okay, fine, I'll look after the dogs. And then he mentioned in passing that Patricia was going, and she pricked her ears up. Oh, Patricia's really nice, isn't she? Oh, maybe I will go. Should we take the dogs with us?
Fair enough. Oh dear. Yeah, it'd be an awesome weekend anyway. Loads happening, loads going on. Really exciting times in the Flat Earth community, no doubt about it. Don't you think?
Should really plug the
Billy
time.
Boy on the end.
Yes.
I'll say it.
Hey there, Eric's joined us. Eric lives in France. Hello, Eric.
Hi, panel. How's everybody doing?
Bonjour.
No, he's actually a Canadian.
Yeah.
Can I just plug the time and all the rest of it once more, Karen? Just so it's in one section. So it's midday, Jephson Garden, Royal Lymington Spa on Saturday the 22nd, 2 days from now.
Saturday 22nd.
Yay.
That's awesome.
And hopefully some of the people in the chat room are coming.
I'll have a look. Well, while you say hello to Eric. Hello, Eric, by the way.
There are a few in chat. MartinLiedtke's in chat. She's going. Flat Earth Dave's going because he's picking me up outside Newport Station. So bloody well hope so. So there's a few going in chat.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
He mentioned that already. So.
Ah, cool. Yeah, I know. Safe. Nice one, Dave. Awesome.
It's brilliant. And also, just to say, because Gary's here as well, you two are speakers at the conference, at the Flat Earth conference.
Indeed. Very excited.
Is Gary there? Gary?
Yeah, hi.
Hey, Gary.
Martin.
Hey,
Hi,
Gary.
mate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you. Well, I'm looking forward to meeting everyone on Saturday.
There's going to be a lot of people coming here, believe you me. You won't know which way to turn.
I'm pleased though, because we obviously want to move this on, and you've obviously had a couple of meets before, Nathan, and every time it can just be progressive. Then that's really what we're after, isn't it? Really.
It is moving on. I can just tell that there's a whole new bunch of people come into the movement just lately. I think it's another wave. They sort of goes quiet for a bit, and then they come in another wave. And this is phase 4. I think I've worked out. I was early phase 2. It's phase 4 now, and this is a bigger phase of awakening, because my every one of these new people that come to my channel, and probably other people's channels who I'm talking to, they are really enthusiastic. I love the passion on them all, and it's slightly different as well from when we all woke up 2 years back, because it's more credibility as well. Now we got our own history, which we've actually got our own traditions. We created our own flat earth culture, and we have as well. And it's moving on. It's developed, and people are getting how flipping cool this is, and now it attracts people to it as well, the arena. So people are working it out, and as we get bigger online, I'm trying to encourage people to have live hangouts, because I had a theory that if everyone had a live hangout and attracted loads of people to their live hangout stream, their comment stream, and that was full, we take over the internet.
Hey, Martin, do me a favor. When you're having a pint, do a toast to people. Okay, well, do a toast with soda, and
drink soda.
Just remember the people that want to be there that couldn't attend but were there in spirit. So cheering you on.
Yeah. We've got a few of them. Zoe said that last night. She would be there in spirit because she's in Denmark.
There you go.
So we'll carry up a few people in spirit with us.
I'll be there in spirit too. So hopefully you guys take a lot of pictures.
Billy, are you saying it's going to rain? Are you saying it's going to rain, Billy? So we're in the pub.
It's going to be torrential tomorrow, but I don't know about Saturday, but I won't worry about that. But look, Billy, if I see any sort of Wi-Fi connection, I will crank up instantly, and I will say hiya specifically to you.
Okay. Thanks, Martin. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I love you, Billy.
I love you too, buddy.
Because with Gary there, it means that people can actually address a few questions about the 2018 conference. So that the type of people who are going to travel to Leamington on Saturday are definitely going to be the same kind of people that travel to the conference and buy the tickets. So I'm in no doubt that you'll be, accosted at some point, Gary, and you'll get questions fired at you. So, but that's good.
Yeah, I must admit, I mean, from my point of view, if people want to turn up and talk to me about anything about the conference, then I just feel honoured to be in a position to do it, really, because I just feel that I want to do my best for everyone, and I think it's going to be amazing on lots of fronts, really.
I can feel because of this other conference and with the involvement with Robbie and that, I feel that. You know how big that's going to be. I posted on my channel this morning. I got a link yesterday. It was in the Charlotte Observer newspaper, and it wasn't in a negative context either. It was, it was quite balanced and a good little writer. So I'm thinking, and as it gets closer to the date, and this is on the tail end of that conference, so it'll be, the enthusiasm will still be there. I think it's going to be an absolute, a sensation, a huge success. I really do believe so. In fact, I know it will be.
One thing I would like to add, Martin, is that when I was looking at when Karen and I had a chat with somebody in Holland about potential dates, and he suggested that we just have to choose a date, which, to be fair, it's changed by about a month. I was trying to centre it around one. It couldn't be anything in November, because obviously what's happening in America. Christmas is ridiculous in January because people haven't got the money, or it's not easy, and then you think, well, we might as well try and make it in March or April. So everything was.
When does Easter fall on this year?
Sorry?
Next year. I was wondering when Easter falls on next year, because sometime last year it was end of April, wasn't it?
End of March.
March, is it? Oh, fair enough. Cool.
Yeah, I looked it up because I was actually toying with the idea of maybe even doing it at the end of March for the bank holiday. But what you got to bear in mind is you got 2 people in Europe and you got 2 people from America flying in. You're going to have a premium cost, so I couldn't entertain it.
No, man, not on the holiday season as well.
But everything I've done, I've hopefully thought through long and hard, and there's reasons for everything. I will change things. I will make things better, I'd like to think, but everything's for a reason.
Cool. Right, it's going to have to be critiqued. Yeah, it's doing an excellent job. Really into it. It's so cool. Thanks, Gary, for the effort, really.
And to have people like yourself there, and I know Nathan's aiming to go, and Karen, and half the people on this panel, and a lot of people in like having like Mark and John Morgile, and a few people like Oliver, Mike Kavanagh, and all the people in the country like Dell. I mean, to have Dell there is, oh my, so many people are excited to have him there because he is incredible with what he does on his interviews. Every single person I know that struggles to talk to somebody about flat Earth just shows him Dell's video. I mean, I mean, everyone, Darren and allegedly Dave and yourself do fantastic jobs, but I just feel that we all can use Dell's work easily, and it's just brilliant. And to have him at the conference is just, I just love that fact.
You want to hear him play guitar? You've never done anything like it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the thing is, to begin with, he was only coming because of the guitar work, but I've managed to, learn a little bit more about him. So that's tongue in cheek.
Ha ha.
Cool,
your jokes tonight. Oh, just to let Nathan and Martin know, it's Ceres' birthday today.
Oh, you share my mother's birthday, Ceres. Happy birthday, boy.
Mum's birthday today as well.
Yeah, my mother's as well. Same day. Happy birthday, Cancerian. Cool.
No time zone weirdness either. We're definitely on the same day, aren't we? We're all on the same day, pretty much, apart from
Billy.
States.
No,
in the States? Last.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in the States.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. Anyway, I've met you two before at that space centre, and to Alan, because you two went running around with your computer, with your laptop, wee, around the space centre.
I'm going to leave that opportunity, definitely. Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, thanks to see
the whole thing. I nicked it. I put it on mine as well. But Martin's got the original live stream from the space centre, and then I was a bit more fastidious and took my time and edited together a very short video, which ended up being about 10 or 15 minutes long. But yeah, so there's a couple of videos that are out there about the space centre. I was a bit gutted that the videos didn't get a huge amount of attention, but I really enjoyed that meetup. That was excellent.
Yeah, so did I. Oh, that was brilliant. I absolutely loved it in there. I never thought I'd get to see, things like Sputnik, or a bit of pretending moon rock also.
The thing that got me the most at the Space Centre was the duping delight that they had with the weather. Did you see that, Karen?
Yeah, right in your face.
They had basically blue screen, green screen, whatever you call it, chroma key technology. And the way they framed it was with the weather. And so you walked into this booth, you put a little token in, and then you did a weather broadcast, and it gave you a little DVD or whatever at the end of it of your weather broadcast. But when you're doing the broadcast, there's nothing behind you. It's just a chroma key, and then the people who are watching you make it can actually watch it with the weather behind, like the weatherman. And it's just a kick in the teeth to people like you and I, because it's saying this is how we fake it, this is how we do it.
They also had a little section of maths, didn't they?
No one gets too wise to it. If they showed you a space video on that, obviously everyone would get wise immediately. But somebody somewhere is having a right chuckle.
Mad, people can't put two and two together and think, wow, if they can do it with that, they can do it with space faking. But they wouldn't be thinking that way, would they, really?
I thought
they've done the same thing with the
sitting in the ISS bit.
Yeah.
And
it was rubbish.
All it was just for about an age of a 3-year-old to pull something out and let it go. A button.
No, it's just like a thing.
We saw the ISS and it's like, this is all you need, Martin. This is all you need. We could have a bit of green screen behind this, and then we'd have an ISS.
Bit of that.
In that simulation thing when you went off when you went off and it was bouncing you around in the chair and that. Did you go in that one? You had to queue up for it.
No.
We saw all the kids. We saw all the kids. Totally pure indoctrination at its finest, wasn't it? And again, slight Jupiter's delight.
They're all in love with space. Space. And you were in a lift, and the mum goes, "Look at that rocket!" And she said, "Isn't it great?" And you went, well, something like, "I suppose so," or "Not really," or something like that. It's just like
a little girl in the lift losing it.
It's a romantic thing.
It's not though. It's absolute rubbish. They had little tiny thin bits of wire coupling the sections on, and then when the rockets we were looking at were a Thor and a Bluebird, from the British space program. And then when you dig into the British space program, there's one bit of footage out there, 45-minute long, nothing else on the internet, and it's faked. So it probably didn't happen anyway. And it's only Jubilee clipped together. And then when you see the launch,
held together with zip ties and dreams, isn't it? You can see through the cracks. It's
you can see through the cracks.
Joke. It's like an Italian sports car. Ridiculous. Zip ties and dreams.
Yeah, a Volkberg. Word. Terrible. And the Soyuz was pretty much the same. I can't imagine anything organic surviving in that thing.
Can I say something? I don't know if you remember where you came in. They had replica module thingies of the down, and all it was is they'd taken a cockpit out of a plane, and it was about an inch thick, animals right next to their faces. So if they'd come through that re-entry, it would have burnt them to death. It's a cockpit of a plane.
Yeah, just from the metallurgical point of view, I mean, nothing made of aluminum can make it past 650 degrees Celsius. I mean, there's no way. There's, not even to get to the flash point of aluminum oxide fuels, right? It's 80 clicks is about the max that anything's ever gone anywhere, right? At the most. Right? After that, it's just too hot. It goes too hot. It's amazing. The dupery, I guess, is what.
What were we looking at? We were looking at a bunch of plastic.
Yeah.
Where in the space center? No, it was all rubbish. It was absolute rubbish. Nothing's going up there. Nothing. I wanted to go to a space center to solidify the fact that it's all rubbish and nothing's going up there. And when you go there, you realise everything is just botchy and rubbish. You look at the lunar lander from the apparent space, the moon landings. It's got gaffer tape on it, and they got gold silver foil covering the entire substructure, and it's something that's millimeters thin on the inside of that. Apparently, you can put your foot through it with apparently a vacuum outside. And as you said, the dust they were supposed to kicked up, nothing, not a speck on it. And the gold foil is fastened with sticky tape. Normal Scotch tape on the moon. It couldn't be more crap.
Remember the gravity they had at the Space Centre?
Yeah, the Cavendish cans.
Baked bean tins on a plastic display centre. It's like you pick up this bean can and it's the weight of the bean can on the sun. You pick up this bean can, it's the weight of the bean can on Jupiter, and so on. You're like, that's their proof of gravity. That was the only thing in there. That was it. That was their proof.
No, they don't do science in there per se. They're God science. Science rocks. You had adults saying, "I can't believe, son, the Russians went up in that." I know, Dad. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, some of the stuff people were saying there was comical, wasn't it? You can hear, but that was the thing. You could actually hear that people were processing their way through cognitive dissonance while they were looking. Yes. It was amazing.
Trying to process it. The awe of how could that be? It's seemingly impossible. That's right. Go with your instinct. It is impossible. They lie to themselves. It's crazy. Rather than believe that someone would lie to them. Oh, biggie. Anyway,
I had a chance to get out to a presentation in Venice, and it had all these space things, and supposedly one of the they had changed the panels on Hubble at one point, the solar panels or something, and they had the old panels down in on you could go up and look at them.
Okay.
And then one of the guys came over and he's pointing at these little, you know, kind of like someone took a little hammer or something and poked.
No, they said a woodpecker.
Yeah, little woodpecker holes. And he's like, these are from meteorites, and that's when they went up and changed them. And it's trying not to roll my eyes too much, and you know, but that's what they offer you. You know, they're telling you millions of little mini meteorites are flying through this thing, but meanwhile you got the ISS uncompartmentalized bucket there floating around up there, no problem. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Sorry.
Not me.
It's crazy.
Too cheap, yeah.
The thing is, the more you get into this and the more you look, the more you actually can see it's fake.
Yeah, but what if
every day?
Sorry, I was just saying, what if you pull somebody like all of that evidence of harnesses on the fake space? You can't deny the harnesses on the fake space station, can you? You know, they're square, the jumpers are out like that, and they're walking funny because they've got a harness on. It's undeniable. And all of the augmented reality mess ups they've done in the last few months, the reflections of people, cameramen standing in the background, all of these, but people will ignore it. A wall comes up. No, that's not true. It's just a mistake. It's one of those things. They're really in space. I want to believe. Leave me alone. It's really weird. You know, they will cancel out that. I tried it with my son as a test the other week.
Sorry to be disagreeable, but I think, especially when we've got Jeremy in the chat, there's always an explanation. There's always, it might be complete farce and nonsense and we would just laugh at it, but by the same token, it is still there. There is generally always going to be an explanation for this stuff that someone like Gem Panda can present to you and say, I accept that explanation.
I know. It's crazy to me, to my mind. Not cast
Why
on
is it some of us see it and some of us don't see it then? Why is it when you try and tell someone and you can see, you know, and you're nicely trying to tell someone and they really don't see it? They just, none of them see it.
So no, I'm not just being awkward, yeah? It's like, there's the, look, in front of you, it's there. How can you explain away this? You know, that augmented reality mess up a couple of weeks ago when the guy's passing stuff because he's got them, you know, them reacting implants in his eyes so that he can see it on the screen what he's pretending to hold. The same technology Tim Peake was using when he had that, whatever, he was juggling a microphone and he messed up in, they showed it up on the back of a screen when they were wheeling George Bush through in his wheelchair. We know about that, don't we? So they're using augmented reality and there's been people with nothing in their hands. You know, so they're caught out. It's managed to be caught on live feeds and yet they've let it go out. So I'm like, well, why wouldn't they have edited that? Because it doesn't go live. None of them.
Sorry to interrupt you, but to answer your question, Karen, why don't people see it? Well, there's a very real physical explanation for this that I can give you with an example that was used by Penn and Teller. So Penn and Teller have a stage show and they're on stage and they've got a full live audience, thousands of people, and they're all watching the stage, and what's on stage is a suspended rectangular frame, say 12 foot wide by 9 foot high, and that's what you can see. So as you look at the stage, it just looks like an empty picture frame, that you can see straight through. Now what you've actually got, because then you cut to Penn and Teller and they explain what the magic trick is. They're standing on the inside of that frame, but front and back are two mirrors. And essentially, it's set up in such a way so it looks like you can see straight through it, but obviously it's mirrors, literally mirrors. And what Penn does is he sticks his hand outside of the frame, and his arm is completely exposed to the audience, and he waves, but nobody sees it, not a person, because nobody can process a disembodied arm floating in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't make sense. They can't cognitively process it. So by the same token, if you've got something like a glitch, an error, an anomaly, because we're called anomaly hunters by the Globeheads, when you've got that kind of anomaly, to the guy on the street, to Joe Blogg's normal, it's the same as the arm sticking out of the frame at Penn and Teller. He's not going to process it. Because as far as he's concerned, that's his reality. So something that's awry in his reality, it's just not going to get processed at all. In fact, it gets ignored. And that's the same as the arm.
When you actually think about it, why would anybody believe we were spinning? Why? when nothing is there that shows you we're spinning, yet we all believe, well, we did believe, we were spinning at these speeds.
I was watching James earlier, Flat Earth Addict, and he went on a corner in London with a big Flat Earth banner. He stood there live for about 3 hours. People came up to him and he started to interview him about the Flat Earth. He wasn't really in the mood. He thinks that the banner is enough. You know, he doesn't have to actually talk with them. But they were coming over and asked him, and he was outside the Google headquarters in Old Street in London. 3 boys come over and he said, "Could you tell us about the Flat Earth?" He said, "Yeah, do you work together?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "In there?" He said, "Yeah, they work for Google." They were really interested. And that was one of the issues that was brought up. Like, but do you know what? I think they were actually really thinking about it seriously and not just joking around. Another guy came over and said, "Look, he said, do you know they say we're going 1,000 miles an hour, the equator, 62,000 miles an hour around the sun, and 250,000 miles around the galactic core? You realise this? Did they teach you this in school?" And he's like, "Well, we ain't moving. We don't feel like I'm moving." I said, "Precisely. Well, we're not." Oh, wow. See, the thing is, most of the people don't even understand the basics of a heliocentric model, and they did get taught properly. You know, in school, how often do you hear about Cavendish experiment in school, or Michelson and Morley? Because I never learned about it in school. I learned about it when I became a flat earther. Really? I did nothing in school. Einstein.
You're on fire, really, Karen, because that's an excellent question. Why would we think we're spinning? And the easy way to come up with an answer for that cognitive dissonance is to look at the globe head explanation for why wouldn't we be spinning? So they always just go, well, why would the sun come up and go down? I mean, you've got the perfect title in the group name. The sun and the moon are the reason people think they're spinning, because as far as they're concerned, they see them move overhead, and they're told, based on relativity, that from our position, that's the reason we're spinning. Look, we're moving, they're not. They're fixed, we're not. You know, it's arse about face. You know, I like it when the Christians tackle this subject, because it is inversion. It's kind of flipping reality on its head. It is kind of satanic. And that stuff does happen in our life. The fact that I don't believe it to be real doesn't mean it doesn't happen, and other people think it is real. And it certainly seems to be the case with some of these Freemasonic lies, that they invert things. You know, they make up, down, and black, white, and, you know, the sun stationary, when blatantly it isn't stationary, it's bloody moving. You can watch it. But no, that's not moving. We're moving. We're turning.
Yeah, but how did we believe that it was the other way round? This whole thing is just
could have
lie we're in. This
stars, yeah. Could have started with the stars. It could have started with the stars and long exposures, because when you look at if we're told if we're told that there are millions and gazillions of miles away and black holes and all this stuff, they're so far, and then you see one of these long exposures with luminaries in these circular patterns, you're not instantly, but you're prone to thinking that those things, you know, we're moving and they're so far away, and they're not, you know, they're moving at these small increments and stuff like that. Well, they're not, you know, they're moving, we're not. It's like a two-tier kind of, if you believe the stars are zillions of miles away, well, then we have to be moving. If you bring them closer, well, then they're moving, and then that breaks the whole paradigm, and then, so, you know, just breaks down from there. That's how I kind of slopped into it.
Yeah, they've taken intangible objects in the sky and given us relativity and said, relative to your position, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. You know, it's all based on the relativity lie.
And for like the Fred and Penner thing, I think it's called either front screen projection or back screen projection. Been working in cinema for like 6 years there, and I'm looking into Kubrick's work, and I mean that Cinerama front screen is, I think it's in 1945 or something like that. That's when that first came out, where they used they projected one image on a glass plate, and then you could walk in front and have the image behind, like in 2001 with the scene with the monkeys there, the primates there. So that's a front screen trick that was used. I think it was considered magic when it first came out. So.
Yeah, there's apparently the scene out of Doctor Strangelove that attracted the military to Kubrick. You know, the B-52 flying bit going through the valley, which wasn't there because that was all blue screen. And that was apparently the bit that impressed the military to approach him, because it was being filmed at the same time, Space Oddity, as the Apollo program. So they were sort of using the same stuff for the same movie. And because a lot of this apparently was recorded in a studio in South London, out in Pinewood Way. Elstree Way, Elstree Studios. So, which I believe is true. And there's evidence that Kubrick was with Clark, Arthur C. Clarke, and members of NASA walking through the studios at the time they put together there. So I think there's definitely him. I definitely think that evidence of him saying that it was him doing it is true. I think it's true.
Didn't he get a lens off NASA to film Barry Lyndon? He filmed like candlelight scenes with NASA lenses because they didn't have technology. I mean, this is something that very much alludes to NASA being on the absolute cutting edge, like Dilly Gill has been pointing out, the guy who's been saying the space shuttle is a zero-G plane. Well, his argument is that NASA are absolutely at the cutting edge of cinematography. They are right there. And to say that Kubrick has gone to them to borrow a low-light lens to film Barry Lyndon suggests strongly that they absolutely are on the cutting edge of cinematography.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, the first cuts of 2001 was in 1968, and they were filmed on 70 millimeter prints, which are it's pretty big. It's kind of like IMAX. IMAX maybe goes bigger today. That's a big print, like 35 millimeter. You take the little thing out your camera, that's 35. You double that up. They had 75 with no sound on the sides or something like that, so I had to sync the sound. But what they did with the credits at the end of that movie, at the first showings of that movie, 2001, they had all the NASA scientists that were on there. They had them all on the list, and they told them to take them out of there. So all the other prints that came out after that first print, they only left one guy, and he passed away not too long ago. It's like Edward Cartwright III or something like that. He was called a scientific consultant. He wasn't called a NASA scientist or whatever. They just left him on there. He did work for NASA, but then, all the other guys that he worked with, they were all taken off the end credits of that movie, which is, they didn't want to tell them, bluntly, 1 year later, they released 68, and 1 year later, we're going to the moon. Like, wow, coincidence. Hello. Over.
Can I just say we've got Mark Sargent in the chat room, and he wants to be a moderator because we're having a little bit of trouble in there.
Nope. Hi, Mark.
So I'm adding him to help take the trolls away. Hello, Mark.
Oh, no, it's fake Mark Sargent.
Yeah.
We thought that at first, and we banned him or timed him out, so we had to fix that. We apologize if that happens to anybody. We'll rectify the situation. So sorry about that.
So I'm really sorry, chat room. It is on slow mode. Billy seen it last night or the other night. We had a hangout. Billy saw it's on slow mode. Anyway, we just carry on. We're having a really nice time, and hopefully everybody just ignore those.
Yeah, slow mode's great. You just stick it on for 3 seconds, and then it doesn't actually interfere with the flow of anyone else's conversation because it takes more than 3 seconds to type out half a sentence. So 3 second slow mode just stops people going 6, 6, 6, 6, 6 in your chat, but doesn't interrupt.
Oh, right. Well, it is set a tiny bit faster than that, but it is on slow mode. Okay, well, after today, I'll go and change the speed again. 100%. It's so fast.
That's just what I do. I'm just saying that's what I do just to stop.
I might go back and have a look, but I can't do it now. But it is on slow mode. Anyway, sorry, Eric. What were you just saying? I missed the end of that because Mark asked to be a wrench. Oh, he's not a wrench. Or is...
Well, I was just confirming that NASA
Carry on.
and Kubrick, they have a long history of working together. I mean, that the Nathan, sorry, I can't remember the name.
Martin
mentioned
or Nathan?
Martin. Nathan mentioned the lens, which is a f1.6 or 1.4, which is really highlight a fisheye lens that he used in 2001, and he can use it also in what's the other one's called there? Barry Lyndon, which is lit only with candlelight. But they worked together for a long time, and Dr. Strangelove was one of the first. It wasn't JFK that. I've heard that he had a conversation that he talked. Kubrick spoke with JFK at one point.
Yeah.
I've heard that they had a secret kind of meeting. We need to get. I'm going to announce we're going to the moon. We need someone who's capable of convincing a mass of people.
Early on, well, pre-63, obviously. So 62 or something. So Kubrick was making, what film was his first film? Was that First World War film with
Kiss?
Kirk Douglas.
Kiss.
Fargus was a bit article. Sorry to interrupt you. I might as well have brought it up. So Kubrick's f/.7 lens now available for rent, but start saving up. And the article goes on. Legendary filmmaker Stanley Kubrick pushed the boundaries of movie making in many ways and was responsible for some of the most enduring visuals in cinema. When making Barry Lyndon in 1975, Kubrick shot two ultra-rare Carl Zeiss primes, which had been originally created for NASA for use with the Apollo space program, but were modified for Kubrick to use with a Mitchell BNC camera, blah, 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 blah. And then, I don't know if you can see that. I hold it up on the iPad. Probably won't be a great picture.
Yeah, that thing is huge. For
there you go. That's a picture of the lens anyway, just so you can see it. Hopefully, it's.
That's quite a good picture. Yeah.
It'd be fun to get your hands on one of those. Eh?
Yeah. Like any of them could work in a vacuum anyway. The one that they wear on their chest, actually on the moon, apparently, the casing's plastic and aluminium. Check it out. So I dug into them. They would not survive if the circumstances of a hot day in the sun, never mind the zero of gravity and the intense heat and the intense cold on everything else at the same time. It's just ridiculous. Them cameras are a bit of a giveaway in space, I gotta be honest. There. Dig into them. They're crap.
Yeah. Radiation. Yeah, radiation.
€750 a day to rent that lens.
What?
A day.
Good God.
It's insane.
Oh, is Lindemann that good at film?
The camera. The Hasselblads that they used were shooting with the 70mm Ektachrome, Kodak Ektachrome. And, even slight temperatures, you go past like 80 degrees, you're going to even see it's like fading. It's like the image gets kind of faded out. But if you're even near any kind of radiation or anything like that, your image is kaput. It's not there. So how they got these perfect in focus images and beyond me. That's beyond me.
Yeah, if you look at the footage of when it cleared out in Chernobyl, if that is a reality, you can see when they go in and they got the cameras can barely get a visual. There's just like particles splattering the screen, and it's just buzzing out. They can't get a picture in that sort of radiation. So no, they couldn't do it. It's all rubbish. I don't know. Anyway, that's just like picking on NASA.
Yeah, because you definitely know that's a lie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just part of the
I just think it's embarrassing now. Embarrassing.
They needed it anyway. They needed it for the slingshot. The slingshot, infused their gravity myth. They're outstanding in gravity.
I don't mean to sort of
so they have to
put anybody down or say anything out of thing, but you only realise how bad it is when you actually go and watch some of the footages. I mean, I've got paused astronauts. We've got them touching material. It's like paper. You've got them torches, extra torches. You've got scuba men coming in. You've got flippers in there. You've got noises, water noises, engine noises.
Right.
Just
they reckon it costs $30,000 a pound in weight to take something to space. So $30,000 a pound, right? It's to take it to space. Yet they'll spend that money to take like a guitar up there, or a gorilla suit, or some shit.
Yeah.
You get them wearing. At one stage, they wore the winners of some American football tournament, and the three of them had the shirts on. So how could they have known? Are they all psychic, or did they have three of every single uniform in that league? But they were there wearing them with the winning shirts. Hey, we got the winning shirts on. Nobody in the public worked out how the hell could they have had them up there? You know, it's just $30,000 pound in weight to get it up there. Yeah, they're taking apparent rubbish up. It just doesn't ring true, none of it, does it? Imagine if they actually were up there and they could just take an iPhone with them and say, look guys, I'm streaming live, I'm in space, check out the ball. Rocks, doesn't it? I'm never gonna do it. Why can't they just do a selfie? Don't these work up there? Can they go and go, hey guys? Never gonna happen.
With some dude on Earth with a laser or something pointing up to them in a live stream. Look at this. Hey, it's happening right now. Right now. No.
But the icing on the cake is the one with where he's singing the David Bowie song. You got the astronaut flying through the space station singing David Bowie. Yeah, it blows my mind. Entertainment, yeah.
I think they should have stayed with NACA. They should have stayed with the original NACA before. Yeah.
Don't you think it's really weird when they get them standing like on the top of actually on the top of the ISS, and they're not really holding on with one hand, and they're not even floating, nothing like that, and yet below them fell off and it's snapped.
No, but not that, Karen. You know, that thing's falling at 17,500 miles an hour, and they apparently step out, and they would go back, wouldn't they? They'd be gone. It'd be like a bullet. But apparently, they just step out and they stay up, and they fall at 17,500 miles an hour alongside. You can see where I'm coming from. It's just impossible.
Things are floating around. You've only got to look when they go in their bag, and it's all floating around really weirdly, and yet they're supposed to be going, that's floating, yet they're supposed to be going, and yet nothing's moving.
Just out of curiosity, talking about space and rockets, what did you guys think about the Go Fast rocket that caught the moon at 73 miles, and it was just a pinpoint small object? What's your thoughts on that?
Just a dot, little black dot, isn't it? And somebody tried to say it was a satellite, but
in reality, a little tiny dot. Yeah.
Actually, up on the 2 o'clock, say about 2 o'clock position. But you know, somebody done the math, and if there were like 30,000 or 26,000 satellites up there, like they postulate, then there would be no less than 300 satellites an hour passing in front of a full moon, and we don't see any. So that is just something else. Probably them. Interdimensional, who knows, but it's not a bloody spaceship or a satellite. You need the geosynchronicity of orbit for things to actually fall away from this ball to actually be up there. Otherwise, they would need some sort of an engine to keep them moving in momentum. So there's nothing up there unless it's powered, and it's quite high up. So that's what's going on. Balloons, quite high up, powered. Drones, the drone technology's taken right off now. They're using them as well. And that is it. That is it. Higher planes,
what I found most interesting about that Go Fast launch was that when I looked at the moon calc, in theory, then the moon should have been on the other side of the supposed globe, right? But it was actually caught at 7 o'clock in the morning in Texas at 73 miles, clear as day. Well, there's the moon, a nice glowing orange moon in broad daylight, right? And I mean, how do you argue with that, right? There it is.
What do they see? Exactly.
If I can just add something, I actually just Googled how they get all the equipment up there. They actually use a production company called The Fourth Wall Are Us.
Really?
The Fourth Wall, there you go.
Wow.
Are Us. It's actually it's a sister company of Toys R Us, and that's how they get it up there. So they can order and they get it in 4.5 hours. It's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
Wow. And they're called Fourth Wall?
Yeah, the Fourth Wall.
Oh, man, that's just That's just screaming at us. That is terrible. They actually create the
It's all
Can I add something as well? Can I add something? I put a video out the other day, guys, about the stars. I'd seen it before with series, and I think D, night footages, but this one you can see stars below the camera, and the balloon's about 17 miles up, which is, I don't know, 27 kilometers or something. Stars below the camera, and the stars, the way the camera pans around and pans back, the camera's going right past these stars because they're there, hundreds of miles away. I think that's why I got a comment from one of my latest subs is John Hutchinson. Do you know who he is?
Oh man, that's awesome.
Do you know who John Hutchinson is?
I know so many people. Can you enlighten me? I know the name.
Well, have you heard of the Hutchinson effect?
Yes, of course I know John Hutchinson. I don't know personally, but no, of course the Hutchinson effect. Yes,
He's following Sun and Moon.
Good God, he's not still kicking around, is he?
Yeah, he subbed to me yesterday.
Like now, it was back in the 80s, that was, wasn't it? Yeah, I know. He had a bit of stick, that poor man, for the Hutchinson effect. They tried to say.
I'm so pleased for Ceres and Chris.
What, you got a chance of getting him on the group to talk to him, do you reckon?
Him, and he said he doesn't do that stuff anymore.
No, I'm not surprised. You know, because there's not many people in this sort of arena that wouldn't know of the Hutchinson effect. He's big news, isn't he? But,
yeah.
But he got a lot of trouble, didn't he, back in when it happened? I'm not sure the exact story, but I know he went off grid and just, like you said, he just wanted anything to do with this sort of thing. I know that. Yeah, interesting. That'd be cool. Wow.
But he's supporting. He said he supported them. So that's just amazing.
Maybe a little like a written interview or something. Maybe be up for something like that.
Recorded just his
I'd love
voice.
to read it.
He does he says that he's following us, so maybe he'll get to watch this and to me, because I did write something on my post today. He's not on Facebook. Friend of his.
Interesting.
I'm just so pleased. He's a scientist, isn't he?
Yeah. No, that'd be amazing if you could talk to that man.
He's pushed in the background anyway, isn't he? Because of what he knows and because of what he's done, he's pushed in the background anyway.
Yeah, what he didn't know about harmonics. I bet he could tell us a few things. I bet he'd know how Coral Castle was built. I bet he'd know it all. You know, about the one that they're showing recently come out of a lab in France. It's only about 2-3 months ago, where they floated this frog using Hutchinson technology. And it's you know, not a screaming noise like it used to be now. It's just a quiet resonance. And there's the frog floating away on top of this steel dish. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's on Google, YouTube. You can look at it, floating frog. It's in some French laboratory in Paris. Really, really cool. A few months back. So they're still using these. It's still out there, Hutchinson effect. I'm sure NASA would use it. It can't be denied that it's a real phenomenon. You know, floating objects through altering their frequency through vibration. Tesla was into it, wasn't he? He had that earthquake machine, didn't he? Where he would affect vibration. Apparently, the council of the government went to his house and said, "You're gonna have to knock that machine off. People are complaining for like 20 blocks either way of tremors, and they know it's you." So he invented an earthquake machine just by turning a little tiny knob a little tiny bit and causing that much disturbance. It's incredible, isn't it? What we don't know. Would be nice if we could find out, though. Because it's out there.
Did the France experiment? Did they talk about Eugene Burt?
I'm gonna find it now for you.
Eugene Burt did back in the late 90s or mid 90s, did some work on diamagnetic levitation and paramagnetic. And I was wondering if it's like an extension of that, or if it's totally other on a frequency. The diamagnetic levitation is, you can do that, those water effects that they do on the ISS. But I was wondering if this France thing, is that harmony based, or I don't know, Sounds interesting.
I was in a university, and some students did it. Yeah, there it is. It's actually Netherlands British Dutch scientists make frog float in midair. So I'll give you it now in the inside chat box. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I did a lot of research into dielectrics and diamagnetics and harmonic resonance. So you get the scalar waves and like a standing wave, and you can levitate, bubbles of water in a scalar wave using a diamagnetic field if you get it tuned just right. And I think that's probably why John's following some of us, because we've done a lot of talking about that, and even the fish falling from the sky is because they're sucked out of the water because there's salt in the fish, and the salt in the fish is a dielectric, right? You don't see it happening with freshwater fish, right? We don't get tides in freshwater lakes. It's only in saltwater oceans that we get tides. So it's definitely the dielectrics that we need to focus on. That's part. It's the other half of the equation that you're not taught in school, right?
The sodiums, saline, that kind of, anything with that kind of high, if there's a lot of that in that water or liquid, that's what it'll affect.
Yeah, dielectric catalyst. Yeah, so even our bodies, right? There's a lot of salt in our bodies with a dielectric. And the salt in our eyes not the salt, but the fluid in our eyes is a lot like the amniotic fluid, and it allows light to go in one direction. So light that comes into our eyeballs, and it doesn't scatter everywhere. Otherwise, we'd be blinded by the light. So it allows it to come into one direction. And I think what we would call space, which isn't really space, but it would be a similar type of effect. We see everything from our perspective coming to us as the center. So I was pretty stoked when he started following us. And that's a good compliment, I thought.
Jaw dropped on that one.
Yeah.
So would that relate to maybe what's in celestial kind of sodium? I don't know if you guys you guys seen the 4G LSF Chile telescope with the 4 lasers. They concentrate 4 lasers, 90 kilometers up, and what it says in the explanation is that they're activating sodium particles, or sodium, which is basically salty stuff, at 90 kilometers to create stars, they call them, or create light, or be able to focus on certain luminaries, certain stars, and it's the 4GLSF, 4GLFS, or something like that, and it's 20 megawatt 4 lasers that are shooting up there, and they activate the sodium at 90 kilometers, so that might, work with that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stars that Karen was seeing was like a triboluminescence, which is a crystal. So if a crystal is under enough pressure, even negative pressure, it would glow right into the light. It's like piezoelectricity. You put pressure on the piezoelectric diode, and it just creates electricity spontaneously. And, what works for heat will work with cold. This is the same thing in reverse. If you get something cold enough, it'll glow a different light wave, right?
Guys, sorry.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for having me. But I'm going to leave you guys to it. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you
Same, yeah. We got
Nathan, it was a pleasure having you on, buddy. And I hope you enjoy your little meetup on Saturday. Say hi to all the people for me.
Yeah,
I'll pass on your regards, Billy.
Oh, you go, Nathan. I'm coming back because we have to have hug.
Right.
Flat Earth hug.
Okay, let me turn my camera on.
Really love you.
Love it.
Yeah, it's a new phenomenon. It's catching up.
Big flat Earth hug.
Before
Nice to chat in person, Nathan. You take care. Nice to chat in person.
That's a joke.
Thanks again, guys. See
Wait
you.
a minute, you did. What do you want to say quickly?
yes, I would like to say something before someone go.
Okay, you did.
Yes. Okay. Series give me this word, And for me, this is a big flag to everyone who listened to us, and to everybody, to all the beautiful parliament right now. So the we is true, is true, the we indeed, as the I am can only be with the we. Without the we, the I am is not worth to be.
I know it.
In this way, I mean that I doesn't exist, only we exist. Correct, series?
Yeah.
And we build the Buddha, we all the knowledge that exists now together, we build the Buddha. Is correct, series?
We are
Yeah.
ready. We just don't know it yet.
That was very nice, Judith.
Thank you,
That was very
Judith.
nice, Judith.
So we're going to have this hug now. Judith, so come back. This is
Nothing
the
but
longest hug ever. We've lost it now. Should we have our hug then? Because Nathan wants to go. Yeah.
I got to be up really early. I got no choice, and I was up at 6 o'clock this morning. I've been in a courthouse all morning. My head is shot to pieces about to deal with the Babylon, and it was absolute hell. I couldn't stand any second of it. I had to go with a friend as a supporter, you know, because I'm like that sort of person. So I had to go into the mouth of the beast, I'm afraid. So my head's gone with it all. I got to get to sleep.
Peace and love, flat of British.
Flat of British. This has been Martin speaking.
See you later, guys. Thanks for having me. Big
love.
hug.
See you Saturday.
Yep, big hugs.
See you Saturday. Big hugs. Yay.
So well.
Yeah, have fun Saturday.
Good job with putting my out to share.
Yeah, enjoy yourselves.
Yeah, we will.
We
Don't worry.
will.
We're thinking of you. Send you a message, right, Billy? Definitely.
All right, buddy. Take care.
See you on the scene. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you
Couple
on
of
the scene.
days.
See you later.
Thanks for coming on.
No worries.
Hey, who's that?
Oh,
And that was Nathan Oakley, 1980, and Martin
your
Liedtke,
ceiling.
Flat Earth British. Some of the finest across the pond.
They sounded excited, didn't they?
Totally.
No, it sounds like they're looking forward to that event for sure.
And it's just good because, you know, it's just something that's really happening, isn't it? So it's brilliant. Just before they came on, Eric, Chris was showing something.
Yep.
Do you want to carry on then? In the chat room, love this.
Yes, me too.
There you go. There's a got anything to show us today?
Sorry, I missed a bit here.
Have you got anything to show us, or just Chris show some of his stuff?
Hey. Yeah, I've asked a question about that particular red and blue one. It seems to me that the outer one is through the space loop shorter and lines actually up with the red one. Probably the blue one is the outer one.
Oh, you mean the magnetic fields? Yeah. Yeah, I can kind of explain what's going on on the map here and how we're building the model and making it work with the toroidal fields. So what I did was, if I zoom in, this is the negative field. Firstly, let me get this off here. So if I zoom in on that, you can see that what it is, it's an actual map of the magnetic field anomalies. So this is what the actual magnetic field looks like. So there's actually 4 poles. It's a dipole with four pillars, so to speak, 4 pillars of central magnetic force. And that causes the dielectric flow, which gives us our tides in the ocean, flows and currents. So one's focused over Canada, the other over Russia, one South America, and one just south of Australia. So what I did was take a toroid, a magnetic toroid, like a typical winding, and just laid it on there so that the center of the force, torque force, was crossed at north and south for the negative pole, and then inversely positive for the positive pole. And you end up with that type of a shape.
Yeah, and I wonder if the space loop itself is not making it short distance for the blue one. If you actually position it to the map on the right as well, the second map, and then you just
what I found was that if you take, well, when I scaled the moon, so I scaled the moon basically according to the Earth torus. I put that in there first, and then when I scale the moon one relative to these two, so the white one is neutral. If you think of it as a motor, positive is red, blue is your negative, and the white is the neutral dielectric. So it's kind of both. It carries both frequencies. So that's probably why, you know, the moon is a dielectric. And it actually, if it's in certain times of the day, it would interfere with both the positive and the negative twice a day, right? It goes around once, it will interfere with both of these fields twice a day. So that's why you have 2 high tides, 2 low tides a day. And I found that the north pole of the moon matrix, you can call it the matrix or toroid, the moon matrix, coincides with this map. So if at the third, like the 1:3 ratio, it's precise. And if I take this toroid and rotate it on the y-axis, and just kind of keep your, I'll escape out of that for a second, but keep your eye on the bottom there where that green wave is, and then at the top where the points are. As I rotate that, you can see that the moon's toroid follows that wave perfect. So it'll sink in down here, follows the S-curve of that green focal point. And then at the top, it goes in at one point and comes out at the other focal point where those 2 dark spots are. It just flip-flops.
Yeah.
And of course, if I rotate that with the moon, because they are locked in sync, so they would actually rotate together. You can see the moon will travel in that center donut. And as it does so, it interferes with both the positive and negative. So it's like a 3-part motor. And the Earth would be the stationary static. So consider the Earth as the stator. Then there's positive and negative flow as electric, and then dielectric neutral. The whole thing is a stator electric motor. So we're in the stator, right? It stays stationary and everything goes around the stator, just like a normal electric motor in your washing machine. It's the same process. So then you just keep scaling it up. So for Venus example, you just take the Venus torus and add that on the outside of the moon, so it's in sync. And then you add the Venus actual sphere. You can put that in there, and then you'll find that the Venus path, when you look north-south, lines right up with that. So what this is actually a photograph of Venus, 3,900 pictures over 4 years. And you can see how it follows the toroid. Perfect, right? Each dot is Venus over 4 years, and it makes that flower pattern. So that's the actual path orbit around the center. And we're the center of mass electricity or mass density. I avoid the word gravity because I don't like it. It's not just that I don't like it. I don't think it actually exists as a force unto itself. It's a dielectric force, positive, negative, neutral, positive. So what holds us up is the same as it pulls us down, and just it's a differential in the field. So we experience it as 9.8 meters per second squared, but that's just the differential. So the positive pole is slightly stronger than the negative, which keeps us held down. Right? And it's just a differential force. So I'll stop sharing there now, but so that's kind of what's going on in the model, and then all you gotta do is just you just scale the atmosphere bubble with the particles to those toroids on the negative and positive, and then you just put a camera up through it. And I can show you some of the shots from the inside. It's actually quite profound, actually. If I screen share this here, I won't try to render them live for you because it takes so long. But I'll just screen share shots that I took earlier from the inside of that model. So it will render photorealistic moon eclipses and blood moons. This is the camera setup where it was shot, and this is Venus shown with a sunrise, early morning sunrise. I actually replicated what I saw this morning with my own eyes. So here's the shot at 8 a.m. in Canada, Atlantic Canada, 8 a.m. sunrise. I could see this actually with my own two eyes. So Venus was in crescent with the moon at that angle. So what I did is I went to Moon Calc, and I took the 32 degrees angle of incline on the camera and 92 degrees south from due north, and that's exactly where the camera ends up if I place it on that map. So it's a precision clock. Here's some other shots, basically the same thing. So this one here is a blood moon, and this one's an eclipse moon, and this is a blood moon rising. And this is just a sunrise looking east-west.
Yeah, with a cut-off map, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just looking due east, due west, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still wondering, do I need it to fold it inwards so that everything inwards becomes outwards, so that you can actually see what the bigger universe is in the other direction, in that sense?
Yeah, I think that to go that far with it, I'm not sure if I can actually make it work. But
no, it's just simply just translating it into the inwards part, because it's just the plane we have this functionality on.
Yeah, we experienced the plane in three. So basically, we're living on a plane, experiencing it as a sphere around us in 3 dimensions, because our eyeballs are round and we see it as round, but we're actually in a flat square dimension. And then when you add time and compression and fractals to it, because everything is fractal, like if you look at string theory and atomic and all that stuff, then you end up with something more like this. It's like a Mobius strip Fibonacci loop, right? You think you're going around in circles, but you're not, because everything is just being centered at that center of torque in the magnetic field. It's like a sonic bubble ultrasound, the same bubble we looked at the dolphins make in water. It's just like cymatics. So that's probably as close of an approximation I could even get to render that in 4 dimensions, but that'll just confuse people. I think probably it's
dimensional loop closed.
Yes. Yeah, it's like the endless knot, right? It's the Celtic knot with the.
And then I'm wondering, are we looking out of the field or are we looking into the field? That's all at the 4th circle.
It's a two-way street, right? It's a two-way street. We experience it as conscious reality, and we're looking out through it while it's all arriving to us in any frame of reference. It's it's kind of profound.
Yeah.
But
It's like
technically, if I take this loop,
inside out, you have the other side of that in the other flower pattern.
Yeah, it's interesting too because you'll see the 777, right? Yeah,
something. Yeah.
At this frequency, you see the 777. When I emulated that frequency, it was like 5. Yeah, so you can see a 777. Yeah. But basically, it's the endless knot in this bubble of cymatics, like sound bubble, sonic wave. And then if I increase the scale of the bubble, you end up with what we would perceive as a globe. We would actually map it that way, but all it is taking this shape here and increasing the thickness. And what I found interesting was that you can actually see that the approximate layers of where the lines on the ocean floors, the plate tectonics kind of follow those lines of force, right? It divides North America, South America through the Atlantic, comes back around through Alaska, and down through the Pacific, which is where the Earth would resonate and then be filling in the gap, right? So it's pushing it's growing like an apple, growing, and it's filling in the holes with matter taken in from whatever's outside, right? Because all that has to come from somewhere. If the continents are always drifting apart, well, then the cracks have to be filled in from somewhere. So the system is growing not at an exponential rate, but it's growing at a fairly constant rate. So that matter has to arrive and be manifest from outside of it somewhere. So it certainly isn't just meteors falling on the ground and it's getting bigger, but that's the extent of where I'm at with it. You know, I can park a camera and take a shot of the moon from any angle and it works. It'll render any sunrise, any eclipse, any moon phase, any time of day.
Yeah, I figure also all these layers of the planetary system and until the stars, that it actually is connected through the rest of the chain itself.
Yeah, and you can see in the model when I set the atmospherics and the particles at the right densities with anisotropic properties, you can see that the stars actually are being generated by the model itself. Like I don't paint these in here, it just generates them automatically. So you can see stars are being generated at random. So I find these as, indicators that, we're on the right path, which tells me that's crystal. It's basically crystal piezoelectricity.
Are these just not seeing a reflection?
Well, yeah, it's the light comes in, but the light can't escape. So the program basically says, well, if light can only go in one direction and can't escape, then it's the particles reflecting off the particles at 120 degrees. But it can't do it on every particle. It only does it on a certain few. And if I go into the model, then I turn off the diamond that I have space set like a diamond shape, a perfect diamond. And if I turn that off, everything just goes white. It just blacks it right out white. So it's just diffused light. But as soon as I turn it on, these pictures appear. So it's quite amazing, really. Once I clued into it, has to be anisotropic light. Right.
Angle the blue one like the red one, but then through the space loop. I said this is shorter distance. I think the shorter seems the most obvious way. I don't know how that actually interferes the process.
Yeah, it's definitely something to do with Birkeland currents and straight line scalar waves. Yeah. So it's fascinating.
Just love those straight lines.
Yeah. Can you change the particle as maybe a different type, like a cylinder type, like a zirconia or something? Do you have an option, like instead of diamond shaped, is there any other shapes that you could put for a particle?
Yeah, I can change the anisotropic properties either down from a -1 to a +1, and that'll change it in general, which way the direction of the light will travel. Yeah, and if I change it too much, it just messes it all up. It has to be a certain angle of refraction. Yeah.
Okay. So I've been following up on researching on zirconia and biotite flakes from granite, and like the whole radio halo and theochroic plutonium, uranium, and all that stuff decay. And you mentioned the temperature change, and it I have to be like when it touches cold, when it touches hot. And that's kind of where it ends up as when you look into the radio halo research, like with Dr. Snelling or Gentry or Henderson. It all ends up with it's a quick some kind of heat, extreme heat or extreme cold that affects these types of particles of zirconia, and it's an instant, or some of them take a few days to form. But I was wondering if the heat that's bouncing, let's say, off Earth or coming from the sun, does it affect these particles that are out there? Like, does it
absolutely. I think more what we're seeing as stars is more of the Earth's field going up from the Earth's surface and interacting with the particles that are there and causing them to glow relative to what is on the ground here. It's rather than the light coming in necessarily. It's a bit of a two-way street. Yeah, I think what happens is the light is coming in here in a one-way direction, and that creates a magnetic field. And then, as it splits the ocean, the atoms in the oceans, when you split water, it gives off a microwave. Right. So the oceans are absorbing all this microwave radiation, or they absorb radiation, and they're giving off microwaves back out towards the field, and then that causes the stars to glow, and everything we see out there, for the most part. I mean, obviously there are some objects out there that are self-illuminating and reliant on themselves, but the majority of it, I looked at Dr. Pierre Robitaille, his work. He's PhD in magnetic resonance imaging, and he's shown that the cosmic radiation background map is out to lunch, because you can't separate the foreground from the background, and all of that radiation that they're seeing, they think is the microwave, the cosmic background to justify the Big Bang and all that, right? This is our cosmic map, is actually just Earth's field reflecting back at us, whatever it's reflecting off of.
Do you think we could? Do you think we could? I don't know, profit from trying to find some like really strong infrared vision, like military grade stuff, like long distance infrared?
Well, I designed a balloon setup where it's just 4 balloons, 4.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to put infrared cameras on that, and a microwave detector, and a standard radiation gamma detector, and just some basic stuff that we use in mining and industry, and just let it go and see what happens. Barometric pressure, temperature, just take the basic readings. Night vision.
A Geiger.
Yeah. Then it would be, if I can raise the funds to do it. I mean, I think I could pull it off for less than 10 grand, but because you'd have 6 cameras and all that gear on it, right? It'd be a fairly sizable little thing, and I wanted to try to salvage it. So that's the drone on it, to fly it back home. Just program it with a waypoint, and after it hits 5,000 feet, it just automatically flies back to where it came from. So you don't crash it and lose it every time. The guys are trying to launch these balloons, and they keep popping balloons, and then that's it. They search for a camera for half a day. Sometimes they lose it. Right? So,
yeah,
what's the point of that?
I think NASA gets 8,000 pounds there on their massive balloons there.
Oh, more than that. I've seen 32 ton. Yeah, there's one there that's pushing 30 ton. Yeah, it's like a semi truck. Yeah, right. Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, Their funding for helium's supposedly through the roof. Planete Veritas has done some pretty, he's calling those guys up, and he's asking them some pretty specific questions. He's, you know, playing their game kind of thing, but he gets in there and he asks them some pretty good, you know, where's all this money going kind of thing. A lot of it's going into helium. A lot of it's going up there.
Well, it's interesting. They claim that there's 2,700 satellites in space, but actually there's 2,700 balloon launches in 20 years as well. So go figure, right?
Yeah.
From Columbia Balloon Launch Center, it's the same numbers.
Yeah.
So these communications companies pay millions of dollars for a satellite launch, and all they could do is flip a switch.
Yeah.
Right. Throw a party and flip a switch. That's a pretty good business model, I figure.
The aerostats. Yep.
Yeah. Start a funeral home, launching people into space, and seed the universe with your body. Charge them $1 million a pop. Yeah. I think it's definitely doable to get something up there to check all that out.
I always thought of a relay kind of rocket, something, we pop it up there with the balloon, get up to the 90,000, 100,000 feet range, and then from there relay a rocket, just try to get as far as we can, pow, just get up there.
Yeah, that's what I had in the model there. I'll see if I can pull it up here for you. It's a different file here. Let me save this file.
$10 G's, that's not too bad. 10 G's. 10 G's.
I'm getting too many files in there now. Balloon launch station. Hopefully this is the right one. That's what I called it. See, I'm smart. I actually called it what it actually is for a change. Application window. All right, so there it is. Basically, that's the.
Oh, nice.
And then I can actually render that for you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's the rocket just goes into the cylinder. Right, so you take it up to 100,000 feet, and you get the drone on the bottom to fly it home, and then once you hit 100,000 feet, then you launch the rocket out of the top and let it go another 200,000 or 300,000 feet. So clearly, it would be the potential for a world record holder.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So underneath is just a drone, right? 360 camera, and throw a bunch of gear in this pod here. I'd like to try and make these at some point, make these out of carbon fiber composites and have a titanium frame in here. Something really, really strong, but super, super light, and actually make these vacuum rather than gas, make them vacuum, because the buoyancy would neutralize, right? You'd actually get to the vacuum with vacuum potential, or close to it, not quite, but yeah.
Because it's gonna expand if you're just sending out helium.
Right, so these would have to be valved. That's why I have the struts here, so you can valve them with a pressure regulator in the middle. So as they rise and want to expand, you have to let gas off to maintain the pressure, and then once you get to your 100,000 feet, you pop the safety valves and let this come down slow to 5,000 feet, and then it flies home automatically while the rocket goes north, right? So you don't lose it. Yeah. But eventually, I'd like to do these, like I said, in vacuum, and have these as vacuum pods, because then they'll just stabilize. But the problem with vacuum is you might not get it back, right? Because it's up there, it's going to stay there. You can't get it back. Right? There's no way to fill it to get it to come back down.
Oh yeah.
Right. Once you went to vacuum, you're in vacuum. That's it. You're not coming back. Right? Because once you're balanced with the negative pressure, it'll just stay there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. more than a permit,
Nice.
more like a permit of permanent way to.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would go to the vacuum, would stay there until the radiation melted it down and it fell out or whatever. Something would happen. But
It's like nothing except what belongs there.
I've got some interest in that model, and some guys are looking at it to support it and try to potentially finance getting it up there, put their name on it, logos and whatever it takes, right?
I wouldn't wait on putting a little patent on there. Just write up a small, just a little one, like it's like $50 a year or something like that.
Yeah.
Just in case. Just slap a patent on there. You never know.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky in that sense. In Canada, like anything created in the arts or music or anything is automatically patented in Canada for creative, the creation concept. And so
Creative Commons, I guess.
Yeah, it's a Creative Commons in Canada, so it's reasonably well protected. Yeah. To go for an industrial patent, I'd have to prototype it and test it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have $500,000 laying around to blow on something like that.
I really wonder why. Is it only because you can then sell it with a permit or something?
Well, if you patent it, then you can sell it as a licensing agreement. Say, well, this is the concept, and anyone that wants to use it. Because in theory, that's a great platform for movie industries. Stable camera, return camera, high altitude. Filming for 24 hours. It'll go. It'll float for 24 hours.
But I wonder that completely inside that UCC part, that it's all UCC based in that sense. So far, I figured the whole patenting is kind of a trap for actually getting real stuff through.
Oh, I think they do it in reverse sometimes too. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's you try to patent something and then they deny it. Right? Oh, this is a matter of national security, and you can't do that. Right? They'll just shut you down. So.
Exactly. That's a sort of trap to catch.
I don't see why we don't have stuff like that floating around where you can actually go up and hang out for, like that flying house in the sky that Tom Cruise was in that movie Oblivion or whatever it was called, or was it Oblivion? I can't remember what it was called. Where Tom Cruise and the woman were in the air. Oblivion, yeah. And he was a clone of himself, yeah. Yeah. Mm. But in theory, it should work, right? It's just to get the right displacement. There's no reason why you can't have a vacuum floating on air the same as you have a boat floating on water. It's the same thing.
Do you think at these altitudes, instead of using vacuum, well, not instead, maybe a combination, but Eric Liedtke done the gyroscopic gravitational modification with spinning a gyro at 30,000 clicks. That at those altitudes, would that have more of an effect, do you think? Like, would it work better, let's say?
Oh, I think for stabilization and moving stuff around and station, absolutely. Yeah, you could use that as a propulsion. I think he was ridiculed, and his ideas were valid, especially if you magnetize the gyro, right? So it'll lock into the magnetic field. And you just, if it's magnetized and it's spinning fast, then you can just angle it. If it locks into that magnetic field, it should act just like the moon does. Right? You can be able to position and stop and stationary and just follow the field. Because gyros do that naturally. If you hang a gyro from a string and spin it up fast, it'll automatically align north, and it'll just sit there and wobble back and forth on north. It'll never be perfectly stationary because everything is moving in time, but it'll always tend to want to go north. That's because the spatial displacement within the material itself. You spin something fast enough, then the atoms tend to align in a magnetic linear sense, right? Torque, your center of axis torque. Eric Lathwaite did a lot of work with that. So did Professor Lewin. If you look up him, Professor Lewin, MIT. He did a lot of work on gyros. They know all. Like I think they know all this stuff. You try to patent it. That they just, like Siri says, they just shut you down or ridicule you out of the whole thing, right? Call you a quack and make you crazy, and that's what happens. Right? Until you give up.
But you have your actual interactive cell anyway. It's your own invention. The more we want to even build it, the more we'll actually use it.
I'd like to get a balloon up there and have it up there for 24 hours or more on a 360-degree shot, right? To see if there's any parallax in the sun, and actually check that stuff out and get a nice steady shot so it's not wobbling all around with the have comparative lenses, have one that's a straight lens and one that's a fisheye and one that's not, and, a bunch of different cameras and night vision.
Takes the view of several cameras.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right the first time, right? Measure the radiation, because it's a platform where you could have floating hotels and whatever, so you can't be putting people up there if it's a radiation dose of it exceeds the safety limits per hour, right? So you got to test the environment. What's the temperature, right? I know at 110,000 feet the temperature drops about -50, -60, right? So, but what's above that, right? Does it get warmer again? And supposedly it does. Right? So, yeah.
Let's see, SR-72 or something. The the jet. SR-72 X-15. When they tried to go up past 92,000, nothing would hold. They couldn't even hold the gas in there. They had no materials that could keep the heat. Nothing. They don't have anything that works.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? As soon as you get below -35 for like steels, you reach the limit of its embrittlement, right? Cold embrittlement fracture limit, right? So in cryogenics, that's why we add chromium to the cryogenic piping and go with chromium and aluminum in cryogenics, because it's stronger. Titanium, it can take the cold. So a steel hulled ship or aircraft at those altitudes is going to be useless. And then conversely, if you go to full aluminum, then you get into the hot range, it just melts, right? Above 650. So there's going to be a sweet spot there, between 110,000 feet and 250,000 feet, wherever that temperature range is within the material limits. That's the sweet spot.
And that's pretty much what they're talking about when NASA's talking about the Orion project, right? It's the large tank metal. It's has nothing to do with anything that they're already sending out now, sending into the ocean, whatever. But it's these large metal-based, 3 meters thick kind of thing that weighs 80,000 tons or whatever. But this is what supposedly is going to get them through the radiation balance. Again, it's off NASA's blurgle.
Yeah, but then if you get in there, how do you dissipate the heat into a black body, omnipresent plasma field that's already hotter than you are? There's no way to dissipate the heat. You'd be sitting in a microwave oven and you can't get rid of the heat. Yeah. Good luck to them. Yeah. That's a whole other topic.
Caselings, Bill Caselings spoke of that. Basically, one of his last points were the ventilation. Where's the ventilation? Because as soon as you open any kind of, anything to this space or plasma or dark fluid or whatever you want to call it, there's going to be an extra force coming into that vent. So that vent has to be even stronger than the force coming. So it's technically impossible for Apollo to get past anything.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's like when you're flying in an airplane, right? As you go up higher in the airplane, they have to keep adding pressure to the cabin to keep your nose from blowing out of your face, right? And if they don't get it right, then it's a painful experience. So the same principle applies. I mean, if you go higher and higher and higher and higher, then you have to keep adding pressure, right? So where are they getting all the extra pressure from to counteract the vacuum? If you get once you go to near vacuum, if you're pulling 30 inches of mercury on a vacuum, you're near perfect vacuum, even 25, right?
And then a day walk.
Right. When you pull 25 inches of vacuum on like a tanker truck, or like well, say like a tanker for a train car, right?
Yeah.
Pull 25 inches of mercury on that. It's about 1.5 million pounds per square inch. Right. So where are you going to get all that, right? The pumps that they'd have to carry to counteract the vacuum would weigh tons, right? Yeah. So that's a whole other story.
I think that's. I thought at first that's what I thought where the Hutchison thing was coming from. I thought that's what I thought he was reversing. When I first saw his first videos there with first clips there with the metal folding in on itself, I thought he was somehow reversing the inside pressure of, either the water particles that are in these elements or the metal or something. I thought he was with some type of harmonic or something pushing these outwards to make the pressure push it inwards, kind of reversing.
Reverse polarity on the dielectric, yeah.
Yeah, so that guy's deep, man. Glad he looked into that.
Yeah, in metals we get like a columnar graining in the metal, right? So at the Curie temperature, each metal has its own Curie temperature. So I think I'd have to look it up. I can't remember the tables anymore. I used to have them memorized, but I think iron is about 1800. Yeah, 700 for iron for the Curie temperature. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing in reverse. If you use that's a positive electric field. So you take a positive magnetic field to heat iron and then at 700 degrees, it'll no longer carry a current, and it just turns to liquid after 1200 degrees.
Folds in, yeah.
Right. So if you reverse the polarity and go backwards, it'll get colder until it becomes brittle and just turn into powder. If you reverse it in the other direction, so what goes one way goes the other. So for sure, it's John was playing with that kind of stuff, absolutely, and the vibrating harmonics and levitation and frequencies, standing waves. Yeah. I can see why the U.S. military came beating on his door. Yeah. Because you start pulses like that, it's you start doing pulse magnetization, pulse rockets and pulse guns and all kinds of stuff, pulse bullets. In Texas University, they used a giant Faraday disc to generate a whole slew of power, and it actually ran a rail gun that would fire a 3-pound. I think it was on their first test fire was a 3-pound slug at 27,000 feet per second. Right? They come out of the barrel like a light flash, and it was like,
is it a huge spiral? It was like 3 miles long or something like that. Is it a huge spiral on the ground or something like that?
No, this was it was just a Faraday disc, which is a giant spinning magnet, and it generated so much power once they got it going that they soaked it into a bunch of capacitors. And then once it got up to so many gigawatts of power, they just tripped the switch, and all that juice came out, flying out through a magnetic series of magnetic coils. And when it did, it took an iron slug with it, right? And magnetized iron slug down the barrel of a just big square barrel type of thing, like 20 meters long. It wasn't very big, I don't think. You can get the specs on it anyway, but it came out of there at 27,000 feet per second, which is 10 times the speed of a bullet. Right? The shock wave, it just turned it into the light. It just vaporized the bullet, I think, is what happened. Instantly heated it fast too. Yep. And that was back in the 80s, I think, when they did that. So you can find the old stuff, right? And then all of a sudden it just disappears. So, well, what happened to that? I don't know.
Yeah.
So where's the NASA money going? I don't know. Yeah.
Yes, fake wars.
Yeah.
maybe they don't really have it. You know, when you're talking about the legalese and the birth certificate, it's a bit like nearly all the figures are in a computer. So maybe what they fooled us with is all these millions flying around. They don't exist. They're only
it's
in the computer.
I can see.
So they don't exist. They're not. So maybe they're not making all these things happen like we think they are, because there isn't any money. It's all on a computer.
Well, it generates a lot of jobs.
No.
There's a lot of people working for NASA and all the contracts, and it stimulates the economy. I can see the logic behind it. It's in the long run, it's better off to have a giant fake space program than it is to have a war, right? All-out war. It's a perpetual money-making machine, right? So I can kind of see the logic why they would do it. But you think we could grow up and just get over it and say, okay, well, you're just wasting a whole slew of money. We could be spending on a lot better things, right? And just don't fight. It's a big sandbox, boys. Come on, let's get along.
Yeah.
Right. Grow up already and get along.
Yeah, Sirius has been very quiet tonight. Sirius, have you got anything to show us?
Today I'm just tired. I had an early day, and
I was going to say it's all that birthday cake he's been eating.
Yeah. Eating and busy with still visitors. I have my brother here now.
Maybe your friends can say hello, Sirius, on the Hangout, because we can hear them.
Yeah, when they talk together, and then I'm using my mic because that's a different hangout all over. Apparently they're busy.
Well,
Whatever.
how long have we been going for today? Was it 12 o'clock? We've been going for 2.5 hours. Do you want to talk for a little bit longer, guys, and then let Sirius get back to he's probably going to have a party.
Yeah. Well, the main thing I'd like to leave people with from all the high tech stuff is to learn to think about it in reverse and use the information for good, as far as materials separation and processing, that type of stuff, the free energy aspects of it, and try what applies in the positive will apply in the negative. Just kind of try to think of it in reverse, because that's the fourth dimensional type of thinking. It's get out into that outside of the box, right? The same thing applies to deep ocean. You get down to a certain level, and the salt is so compressed and dense that you can't even penetrate it with a submarine. Like they had a deep sea sub, and it just hit a layer of water, and that was it. It was like hitting solid, but you could see straight through it. And there was animals crawling around, but he couldn't put the sub through it. It was that dense. So, and down on the bottom of the ocean, there's frozen methane, right? It's solid methane ice. It's so dense. So the same applies in reverse going up above, right? You get to that boundary layer and it just freezes. Like nitrogen will turn to ice. So I just want to leave that message with people to think about it in reverse. Yeah. If you want to understand the light, you have to understand the darkness in order to see the light. You need to know how the shadows work. Right.
Always reminds me of those little the fish, the creatures down there that have the luminescent, those.
Yeah.
If that's happening down there, I mean, maybe it's happening up there.
Well, exactly, right? Yeah. Absolutely. We have no idea what it could be out beyond. And obviously, we're seeing it all backwards and wrong.
Yeah, we're looking all 180
all
degrees
backwards.
In the wrong direction.
Well, there's not an inch of this place that doesn't have life in it. I mean, when we drill down 12 kilometers deep, we bring up bacteria. I mean, that's how we test oil field wells, is the content of bacteria in them is the richer and this is, sulfur reducing bacteria. The stuff will eat through stainless steel in a month, right? And it's alive bacteria at, 4 miles deep, right? So there's not an inch of this
not
place.
just that, With the shape of a gyroscope. We're a gyroscope.
Yeah.
It's a complete living system on all levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we are the center of mass density on a charged electric system, so people need to think about it in that sense. You know, I try to get this information out to people because it's a liberating thing. If you get people in communities that learn this kind of stuff, well, then they can figure out that if I take a magnifying glass into the Sahara Desert in the middle of nowhere, I can use the sun to make glass, right?
Yeah.
For free, right? Right. So we should be having 3D cities made out of melted glass. Yeah. That's the tech we have.
I was thinking about something, you know, in this sort of 500-600 years ago when all the books changed. I mean, corrupted education you get, and the first thing you get is the ball before you get through the door. In a sense, the more of us can read and write today than maybe 500-600 years ago. Do you think that a lot of this weren't educated, you know, and could write and understand? Do you think that when they changed the ball, you know, into a ball, they were doing it and the people wouldn't have had any idea because they weren't educated enough, news didn't travel? So it could have been a few men in a room signing pieces of paper which said, oh, now we're a ball. Known about it, and they just slowly brought it in, I don't know, to the education, it just came in.
Well, it's there's an interesting timeline there. I find quite coincidental. Personally, it's during the Middle Ages, the ball came out in the 1600s. That was about the Middle Ages. The same time as the it's not the Crusades, but the religious. There's a big mass religious thing. They're burning people at the stake. What was that called?
Inquisition.
The Inquisition. Yes. Happened all at the same time, right? And when the Inquisition happened, all the people that had the mystery school type of knowledge and esoteric and the alchemy and the Hermes, Trismegistus and all that knowledge, they were scared to death. So it just disappeared.
Yeah.
Right.
Same as witch hunt and what kind of teached us to lay our intuition on the plank.
Yeah, we've never left the Dark Ages. In my opinion, we've never left the Dark Ages, technically speaking. Right. It's sad.
Yeah, the same scientists. Yeah. Sorry.
I heard also that the Dark Ages for Europe was particularly that in Europe were apparently a lot of black tribe around in that time, and then Europe got conquered, and that was then the Renaissance with all the new stuff, etc.
The black magic and what was vitriol? They used to call vitriol when what was called magic back then, but I mean it's basically science of today where they play with chemicals, and anything that couldn't be explained was put into black magic. If you took a chemical, I don't know, you'd make some kind of sulfate. Anything that was sulfate that would burn or make a different color, then it's magic and it's black magic and it's bad and it's pushed away. So, that takes a long time for just I guess the layman to put into a case. Okay, that's way out of my league. They're just playing with chemicals and it's black magic, but I mean, they were called alchemists, I guess, back then.
Yeah.
Well, you think they were called that. You don't know anything anymore because everything was so changed. I mean, I just think the lie is just so bad. It's not just a bit of a lie, is it? It's not just one bit. It's not just NASA.
Yeah.
It's back to front.
I get a PDF library. I'll have to show you guys sometime. I got a PDF library about, I don't know, 100 books in it or so. And it's all those old stuff, all those old books. It's all the Hermes and Plato and the the mystery school stuff, the Rosicrucian manuals, and everything I could find, I downloaded and got copies of. And it's all there. It's the chemistry is all.
Can I ask you something? This is the question for all of you. This is for Billy, Chris, Eric, Gary, Series, Judith. Like, would you have known what you know now if you'd stayed in the other life? What I mean is, got to wake up. But would you have known what you know now if it had been, if you hadn't like woken up?
For me, not a chance.
Probably not. Probably not.
No, I would say, Karen, that we just literally. I know what everyone was saying earlier, but you just accept what you're given in the past because you didn't know anything different, so you wouldn't assume that any of it or even one bit of it was wrong. So I would say that we would just literally had our eyes shut.
Yeah, but do you find that? Are you finding that as every day goes on, the lie is even worse than it was a couple of weeks ago? That you can see more and you know more and series. I mean, I know Eric does his part. He takes pictures and does experiments, don't you, Eric?
Could I just add? Yeah, could I add to this, please? Again, I would say that the lie hasn't changed because the lie is the lie, but because we are seeing it different, it's like basically learning to swim. If you learn to swim and you can see all the different strokes, you know how to do it properly, and you see other people that are swimming but they're not very good, you can see all the weaknesses of that person because you know how to do it. So we see more and more every day because we're learning more, but the lie hasn't changed. The lie has just been perpetuated.
Repeat it over and over and over.
Yep.
Do you think we're really excited about the picnic because we're all actually going to be going outside? Because when you're a flat earther, you live on your computer or on Hangouts. It's a bit like I'm going outside and I can go outside because there's going to be some flat earth people there.
Yeah, Saturday is going to be a nice day.
I don't know. I can't go to these places anymore. Or I just can't. I don't know. I just feel that there's a lot of living dead out there. And
well, hopefully you'll have some sunshine. So I hope for that.
Yeah.
What the saying was, it doesn't really matter anyway, does it? It's going to be great that wherever you go, whether it's the pub or the park, it's a group of flat earthers meeting up for real.
Yeah. It's I don't get out too much either, but sometimes it's fun to go out in public and just kind of put little hints out there and not really say what you're trying to say, but just hint at it. Go order a coffee at Tim Hortons and say to the person, if you spin that clockwise in the northern hemisphere, it'll be easier for you. Leaving stunned, right? You can't do that. They say you can't do that in the south because the earth turns backwards, and just and they're like, what, right? So just walk away. Have a good day. Give them a tip. See you later. Yeah.
Last time I said something publicly, I was actually getting something for my camera, and the guy was talking about the moon landings being fake, and I thought, great. But when I told him the Earth was flat, he couldn't accept that. But he did understand that the moon was fake. The moon landings were fake. So he looked at me as if I was crazy after that.
It's a good catalyst. There's a couple of them. There's a couple catalysts that'll knee-jerk someone into at least looking into the topic. You could hand someone a Timbit and say, "You don't live there. You don't live on this thing."
I thought the biggest lie was finding out that we were flat. Were flat, but it just goes on. It's lie after lie. I thought that was going to be it when I first discovered flat Earth. But it just goes on and on. It's everything. It's even down to our birth certificates.
Yeah.
Well, the microgyros in your cell phone, right? They're a single gold atom tied to 4 wires, so it's dielectric. Right? So the actual gyro in your cell phones is a dielectric, and it's tapping into the dielectric field, not the other. Right? It's the gold's a dielectric.
Compass
it's
on
that sensitive.
The compasses on your phone are accurate then.
Oh yeah, it's just tapping into the magnetic field. The actual compass, like when you do the compasses, I'm not talking the compass, I'm talking like the little gyros, like when you play a video game and you tilt your phone one way or the other, right? Well, in the cell phone, there's a little tiny chip, it's a single atom of gold, pretty much, just a single like micron sized bit of gold, and it's on 4 little wires, and then it moves in the magnetic field, and it's that sensitive. If you tilt the phone, it knows its orientation. Once you set it to the magnetic field, it knows approximately where it's at. Right? And then of course they tie that into GPS too, right? For your compass readings, that's GPS. That's all ground based, but yeah. But the gyros, that's the cool part. That's the hidden technology. Anything that had any value, they took it and made it micro. Yeah, pancake motors and little stuff it's all free energy stuff.
You mentioned the compass part of it because part of our research is with compass readings, and at times people say, "Is that app correct?" Or correct? People, don't trust them. We get asked those questions, but it's the most reliable thing we've got. And I mean, in reality, maybe the chat room don't know that we are collecting compass readings from our group, but we're doing that. No one. People can do that one. Okay, we've got to rely on their equipment, but it's something we can do.
Yeah.
So we've got a program with all these compass readings. Which series will add to this program? So there'll be another part of this to do.
I figure if Chris can actually take that particular snapshot into the sky within render, then we could actually just set all the objects we need in a particular time on a particular position in where they should be in their time. And then he can actually...
Yeah, I've already got that in there. Yeah, I didn't show it tonight, but I've already done that. Yeah, I took the moon map and it's overlaid on top of the magnetic one. So you can position the camera according to the moon readings and get the shot. Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm already on it. Yeah.
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 That actually confirms the principle itself because you can actually repeat it.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is I noticed right away is that all the readings by however many people you had, 200 people over 2 years or whatever taking readings, they're all looking south, right?
Yeah.
Yep. What's that tell you? Yeah. Yeah.
If reality actually is
working.
Yeah, so that's why I tilted the toroid. The moon's toroid is tilted with the south pole slightly into the ground, and it rotates in an arc, so it always arcs. Yeah.
Yeah. It is a gyro in itself, and then it turns as well.
I'll see if I can bring it. I don't know if I have it. It might take too long to load because I know you guys want to go, but maybe we'll save that one for tomorrow night. I'll bring it up and preload it and show you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, and I wonder if you can actually work out the space loop. I'm not sure. That's with the physics a little bit of a problem, I guess.
Yeah. I got another one loaded up here, but it takes a while to load up a model. But
Whoa.
this is a boring machine I'm designing, tunnel boring machine. Yeah.
All right. Boring. Yeah, tunnel bore machine.
Yeah. So instead of using, diamond carbide tips, it uses high pressure water and cuts the rock with water, and then uses the water to sucks it back up through a Tesla turbine pump. Right, this is a Tesla turbine, takes it back through here through a tumbler, and then washes out the sludge, and then keeps the granite to make the concrete. Right. So as it bores, it makes its own concrete, and this is just a self-inlaid rebar machine. So it just keeps winding rebar around it, right, and then just plastering in its own concrete as it recycles the rock as it digs its way through.
It doesn't have.
It takes 10, 15.
I mean, there's so much.
So
there's not an overload of dirt, that you actually can't fill the walls with all of it.
Yeah, you wash it out. Yeah, the tumbler washes out any silt and the fine dust and whatever. Then you take the you take the granite that's cut from the stone, right? The rock that's cut up with the water jets. It's high pressure water jets, and they're angled, so they just cut little tiny diamond bees. Right, each one just cuts a swath into the rock, and then you use that for your aggregate in the concrete. It just recycles itself. That's a whole nother discussion. But I was trying to get into that, but I'm multitasking while you guys are talking. I'm like, okay, I'll keep working on my model here, but yeah. But you can see that's based on the same principles, right? It's a toroid within a toroid, right? And then this is a Tesla turbine pump, right? And then it's all twisting toroids. It's all the same technology, high pressure water.
I'm probably a complete blender in my browser.
Yeah. You just start stacking toroids, right? And you can start stacking them, and so this would be rebar sections, and it just keeps making its own rebar or rolling them in, right? Makes its own rebar sections, and then so it just go for miles and miles and miles. You just keep loading wire and concrete into it as it chunks away.
Sure.
Yeah. What's the scale on that? What's the scale on that?
It'll be a 24-foot tunnel. So the machine will be about 24-foot diameter and then 150 feet long or so.
Right.
So it'll make a full 2-lane highway down, right? But you need 28 feet for a full 2-lane because you need 14 feet per lane.
I'm so into meters thinking feet.
Yeah. Well, the problem with the tunnel boring machines is the carbide teeth keep wearing down, and it just, it's just when I thought about that, it's just a stupid idea. Why use carbide teeth to cut through rock when you could just use water like the Egyptians did? Right, high pressure water.
For 30 meters, you got 100 feet there, approximately.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and I figure you could probably run a meter an hour, so you would be long covering some ground. Because it doesn't have to grind through it, right? It just the rock, just the water, just where the two jets of high pressure water, they just cut like a knife, right? Just keep cutting and keep cutting and keep cutting.
Yeah.
So there's nothing. There's no actual grinding. It's just water cutting in the rock, and it's cooling. It just cuts and cools, and the water lubricates. You can actually use the water pressure to drive the head of the pump, and then it sucks on one side because it's a Tesla turbine. You can suck on one side and push on the other. Right? It just creates a vortex.
Yeah, again the vortex.
Yeah. It's all Victor Schauberger stuff. You guys get into Victor Schauberger. He's another one that's. He's another guy that's on the back burner. Like he's been suppressed. If you look up Victor Viktor, I think that's how he spelled it. Victor, German Victor Schauberger. Water energy, water life. Brilliant stuff. And he did the same thing. He showed that he designed. He was a timber guy, and he designed sloughs for timber to go down the mountain. So he used the water to carry the logs down, for miles and miles and miles in the woods to the mill. And he had it figured out how the water flowed, that when the water at the center of the trough would be cooler and more dense. So he knew that as the water flowed, it would pick up energy, and as water picks up energy, it cools down, right? Because that's what keeps us cool, right? We burn energy to cool down, and water does the same thing naturally. And so he knew that the logs would roll at the center of the trough and keep elevated, floated up. He moved giant logs for miles and miles with nothing but water.
Yeah, and also with those twisted pipes, and then in the pipe itself, it twists as well.
Yeah, that's the same guy. Yeah, the twisted pipes. Yeah, yeah. If you twist the pipes, the water will flow corkscrew right through them. Yeah, almost zero resistance. Yeah.
Yeah. And also kind of cleaning out by making it into a turret flow down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean by people thinking in reverse. Like if you look at a river and you see one of those eddies in a river and it might be 20, 30 feet deep, and you can actually see the water going into this giant eddy hole, right? And you have to think about, what's causing that? Well, there's a giant rock, granite, at the bottom of the river, and the water is flowing around it, and it's created a magnetic field, and it's the magnetic field that's pushed that water apart. And if you think about the amount of tons of pressure, right, it has to hold back the entire river because it's open to the air, it's open to the atmosphere. So the weight of the river is being held back by the magnetic field, 30 feet deep and 12 feet in diameter. Right?
You see actually electric fields flowing.
Right, that's the dielectric field holding back an entire river, millions of pounds of water, right, in the vortex. Yeah. Because it's an open pipe to the atmosphere is what it is. It should collapse, but it doesn't collapse, right? So it's vortex energy. Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with here in our model too, is toroids to the center plane of vortex energy. Yeah.
Double vortex, double lotus flower. It's the same stuff where they are talking about. It's all the vortex fields and the whole triangle stuff. And 369 and the flower of life, and it's all the same stuff.
That's the fascinating part, I find. When I think about it from that physical aspect, my mind has to say, okay, what would be on the other side, technically, right? There has to be at the center where the analemma forms, and the center vortex of the magnetic field. It has to change polarity. It has to change polarity, density, temperature gradient. Everything has to flip, right, and then come back around and start again. So there's going to be that center point where everything is reversed. So does it go from white light to black light, UV? So does the UV switch to everything has to switch and then come back.
So far I heard also something like that the planets themselves are realms in themselves, probably, in where there is the same thing as we are living in here.
Right.
And
that makes a whole lot more sense to me theoretically than anything else.
I figured we are in the same principle within this fourth dimensional circle with the fifth dimensional.
Yeah. Well, if we think of space as a crystalline type of one-way street for light, so it's like a crystalline diamond. So say you had, unfathomable billions of little tiny black diamonds in space, carbon under vacuum pressure that creates a black diamond type of construct where light only goes in one direction. Eventually it's going to form that type of a buckyball type of carbon-60 type of structure, right? The lattice work in a diamond, so light only comes to the center.
Dust field,
so the odds would be, the odds are greater that there just be another one beside it and another one beside it. And there's all self-contained universes stacked, right? So every star we see could be a universe inside of it, right? Not outside. We're all thinking outside. Yeah. It's what's on the inside is what's important. Yeah. That's what I think. It's reversed. It's all reversed.
And that's why I figured also that I have actually, when we take your model for just declaring this side of it, we can actually morph the square into by turning it inside out. In the sense that you actually have the fourth dimension in the inside of the circle, and then the toroid on the outside, and in that circle you are that particular center of the flower within where your realm is. Next to the other one, well, there's probably a connecting one between us, between the realms. That's what I figured with that particular torrid field, what is around the flower of life.
Yeah, like what Eric is showing there. Yeah, same idea. Yeah, it's a
Like a flipping. But since I can hardly see it. Here, hold on. So look, this. As I'm moving down, slower. But things are, you see, it's going the opposite directions. Kind of a visual way to put something in a. I might be doing it too fast.
Is it actually turning or?
Yeah, I'm moving this little plate here. The back plate. It's hard to show. Back plate is like that.
Polarized light. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have one. It's weird to show. You put that on top of it, and then you flip it. When you turn it, I'll do it really slow here.
Yeah.
It's opposite. It just kind of sounded close to what you were.
Really, that's exactly it. Yeah, it's like a tornado. It goes outside spins one way, the inside spins in the negative, the same as the cone of a tornado, and then it gets to the center. Like they call that the Z pinch point, right? The Z pinch or 0 point Z pinch, and then it has to flip polarity, go the other direction. Right? Yeah. It's like an hourglass figure 8 type of toroid. Yeah. So you got to ask yourself, what's on the other side? Right? Right. I do. Yeah.
Yeah, just another toroid, but then just the other side, the inside out. Yeah. That's up in a big body as well.
Yeah. Logic would say it's pretty much the same as here, more than likely, but it might be all opposite polarity, right? Right. Completely different construct, just opposite polarity. So if we were to jump sides, right, we would experience, we would feel weightless or whatever because we'd be completely the opposite polarity, or else we'd be, it'd be just everything would be upside down, electrically speaking.
We'd be the whole field. We'd encompass the whole. Yeah, the whole. True. Yeah. On that note, everyone on the panel, I'm a head note to that. I'm on 1:30 up here. It's been great talking to you.
I'm going to do the same. So I was up this morning.
Yeah, I think we've been going now for 3 hours. It's probably time night and hug.
Happy birthday, series. Happy birthday, series.
Eric, you've got some news, haven't you? Or don't you want to say it on here?
Oh, I'm going to be a daddy soon.
Oh, cool.
Yay!
Yeah. And they're going to be twins.
Right on.
Cool.
Really pleased for you, Eric.
Thanks. I'm quite excited.
Yeah. You ought to have your hands full.
Yes. I'll still be around, though. Still be around.
Better be, because you've been a bit laid up, haven't you, lately? We haven't seen much of you.
Oh yeah, me got some rheumatism in the knee. Kind of boring stuff, but whatever. It's getting better. It's getting better. So got a new telescope and should be getting trying to get some North Star Polaris readings in there too, instead of just sun and moon. Try to get some Polaris readings because that little thing's moving too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Billy, for all the work in the chat room, because I know it was a bit mean earlier on.
Yeah.
The people enjoyed it. Big shout out to Stan Smith in our chat. Went to his channel. He'd done a lot of research on the sun and moon. A lot of great stuff on his channel. So go check him out. I want to thank all the moderators. They did a tremendous job.
Yes.
And once
Thank you,
again,
everybody.
if we timed you out or banned you accidentally, we try to reconcile it. And we're only human. Even Mark Sargent got banned tonight, and Nathan Oakley by mistake. So
Don't you
feel privileged.
Can I just say, isn't that amazing that we had Mark Sargent being a moderator? I mean, it's like, isn't that nuts?
Right, exactly.
I remember the first time Mark came onto the Hangout, and it was like, oh my God, we got Mark Sargent. Now all of a sudden, he's helping to moderate. It's like, it's just nuts.
Right. So no, it was a good. I think they enjoyed Chris's presentation.
Sorry, Billy.
That's okay. They really enjoy Chris Monk's presentations, I can tell. And everyone did a good job. Eric did too, so it was enjoyable. And it was Siri's birthday. So.
Yeah.
I don't know about everybody.
Are you serious?
Somehow,
Yeah.
right? But community, everybody. Right? And it may not mean that we all meet each other individually. I understand that, but there's no point, is there? Because we know what it's been like, and we know it's the living dead out there. You know, shackles on anybody, you know, with their free choice. And I mean, just look. Nathan, we've had Martin, Dave, the Morgile, Mark Sargent, Oliver Lopez, we've got Billy, Briss, lovely Eric, Easing Gary, and series, and you did. Look, Israel, America, Canada, France, UK. We've got to somehow do this together. There are different
Viva la
models,
France.
people believe in different things. I think I've said enough now. Eric's kind of spoken, hasn't he? Gary, do you want to say anything?
Not really. No, I think everything that's been said, either by myself or everyone, has been great, and I've enjoyed it. But no, not really. I think, you know, hopefully, what I said earlier about Saturday is something that I'm keen on, and also I'm looking forward to the actual picnic. Yeah, and but no, that's good. That's all good. And thank you to everyone in the chat room.
Yay. You there? You did. No, she must have fallen asleep. Israel's 2 hours ahead of us, so it's like gone 2 in the morning. Okay, Judith must have fallen asleep. I know it's just gone past midnight now, but it was your birthday, and thank you so much for coming on the Hangout, even on your birthday.
Always there.
Sum anything up this evening then?
You were breaking up here.
Please.
Me.
This isn't like series to be quiet. Carry on, series.
Birthday.
Yeah.
He's speechless.
It's a very tiring day today as
He's
well.
probably
and
tired.
Yeah, halfway the hangout already. But really,
After all, you're a year older in one day. That takes a lot out of a person.
never got so many birthday wishes ever in my life. So yeah, it's a wonderful day to wake up.
Maybe you're a bit more popular than you think you are, series.
It seems so. I hope they're not become followers. I want masters.
Yeah, but you deserve it, series, after all your hard work. Because I know in these live hangouts, we've actually heard a bit more from Chris.
Yeah.
Like, how many months?
I need to catch up with some parts of his model so far, and actually see how the mirror is going to work on the other side.
But if you're in our group before the live hangout, Series would do all the talking, wouldn't you, Series?
Oh yeah. Sometimes if there, mostly I'm just depending on the question. If there's a question, then I'm intuitively provided with the answer. I mean, some people can do it for themselves, but.
So we're really lucky that Chris and you don't mind explaining things again and again till people understand it.
Exactly. In a sense, learning it is one thing, but actually teaching it, yeah, that takes a few people to actually get questions familiar, that you can actually lay out a route to from where anyone is to where we are.
Yeah. I find it's the student that teaches the student that teaches the teacher, and when the teacher's ready or when the student's ready, the master will appear, right? But it's the student that teaches the teacher. Yeah.
You've been a teacher, haven't you?
Yeah, I was a teacher for a while. Yeah, I taught music and guitar for a while. Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah, so you understand it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Gary. See you
Gary.
Saturday.
Have a great day on Saturday.
Nice meeting you all, guys.
Yeah, have a good time.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Have a pint for me.
I certainly will. I'll be in touch, Karen. Reference Saturday.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
So I was just saying, Chris has been a teacher, so he has got the patience already.
Yeah, you have to. You need to, otherwise it won't work.
Rick's going to learn patience like he never thought he had before in a few months.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah.
Wow.
And how to live on 2 hours sleep for 2.5 years. Yeah.
I was just getting you ready for that one, Eric.
Yeah. The prep work.
But we're almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost there. We just got to tidy a few things up, push forward, continue with the research and the readings. People are already seeing sun goes on one side and starts over from the other.
Yeah.
Each and every day, east to west in a straight line. That's what the data shows. Okay? It's okay to believe it's flat. It's okay. When people tell you there's no way we can find out, we know, they know, and now they know that we know what they know. Okay?
Ooh. Yes, Billy.
It's only about awareness.
Becoming aware. Exactly.
Yeah, you're only who you are with what you know. Everything.
I don't know anything. I don't want to know anything.
We're a bit gobsmacked that the stars
Don't know nothing.
15 miles up.
The more I think I know, the more I realize, the less I actually knew. That's the way to do it.
And on the other hand, there's nothing to remember but the lies, because that's the one thing you need to keep repeating. The truth you recognize, and you will recognize it forever.
Yeah, waking up is just like waking up is just like remembering what you already knew. Right? That's all it is. It's remembering what you were.
That's
the thing that's got flat earthers.
exactly right, Chris. It's indwelt in each and every one of us. We already have the original knowledge embedded into our eternal system. It's inside of us, and we've been programmed to ignore our senses, to ignore our reality. We've been programmed not to even look up. I mean, think about it. If people have been looking up at the sky like they should have been in the ancient times, we would understand the wool they were pulling over our eyes. Wait a minute. How can you see craters on the moon with your own eyes? How is that 239,000? Exactly. It's not 230. Something as simple as that. That's why.
Do you think as well it's a bit like just many things in life? The one thing you know is it's flat. You know. you know.
They call it the event horizon. It's just once you get past that one point, there's no turning back. You know that one empirical has stumped you. Your event horizon. You're past the point of no return. And then it's a learning process from there. That's why I'm here.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it just looks worse out there because it gives you a peace, even if you can't explain it to most of out of there because they're just not ready for the peace. Maybe that's why they look worse. Patience, I think. Look how patient everybody is. All nice, calm, talking people. Anyway, guys, to everybody now.
Yes. Thank you, moderators. You did a tremendous job. Actually got neck tension trying to pull the trigger on them tonight, but we bat them off pretty good. So I really appreciate everybody's time.
It's really boring.
Well, some of the people stayed and tried to have a chat anyway, so that was good that they did that.
Yeah,
And
thank you, everybody, especially FPV. He's great in there. Everybody's great in there, but
Cats.
worry, just get on with it. Listen, great presentation.
And it seemed like, right. It seemed like the people stopped in at the right times. Chris Hayes, Flat Enough, Jamie Brown, a lot of Sky Bry, Marilyn, Wixby. You know, it took a group effort tonight.
Yeah, I think it's really good also to mention the chat room because you can only get 10 people on a hangout, chat room on a hangout. But they're real people listening, talking, in a community in their chat room because some of them have got wrenches. So, you know, the chat room are part of this as well. You just see us other than you lot. But yeah, and there's people watching. All a part of this, so thanks very much. And really exciting. It's getting really good. Really excited. So we'll say good night, and we're back tomorrow about 9:30. Hopefully, see you all tomorrow. Good night, everybody, and thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.